Chapter 79. After Wang Dayuan condensed the soul blade, he decisively slashed at the edge of his soul. The soul of a qi refinement cultivator has not yet formed, and in the sea of consciousness, it is only a human-shaped cloud. Wang Dayuan's slash cut nearly 1% of the cloud and almost fainted from the pain. This feeling was even more serious than the last time he was hurt by the soul-extinguishing bell. Enduring the pain, he wrapped the soul with the power of divine sense and stabilized it with the soul-nourishing secret technique to prevent it from collapsing automatically. If the soul fragment collapses, Wang Dayuan's soul will also be left with a wound that cannot be healed by itself. After using the soul-nourishing secret technique for 3 days and 3 nights, the soul fragment stabilized and met the requirements to merge with the avatar. Wang Dayuan's entire soul entered the space of the spirit pearl and took out Liang Zixing from his spirit beast bag. This guy still had the soul-subduing talisman on his head and was sleeping soundly. Wang Dayuan didn't want to torture him anymore, it was good to let him die in a daze. Condensing the soul-splitting blade, he directly slashed at Liang Zixing's forehead. Liang Zixing is at the 5th level of qi refinement realm. His divine sense is far worse than Wang Dayuan's, and he is in a coma. There is no resistance at all. The soul-splitting blade broke through his sea of consciousness and slashed at the soul. The human-shaped cloud in Liang Zixing's sea of consciousness directly dispersed. Wang Dayuan's soul fragment took the opportunity to enter Liang Zixing's sea of consciousness. The soul-splitting blade turned into pure divine sense power, condensing the scattered cloud with the soul fragment as the core. After the condensation, the soul fragment occupied the part of the human-shaped cloud's forehead. Soon, the soul fragment woke up and began to dominate Liang Zixing's soul and control his body. At this time, more than 200 miles northeast of Qingli City, in a hall on Qingyun Peak, the flame of an oil lamp flickered a few times and was about to go out, then it stabilized and the flame gradually returned to normal. However, no one noticed all this. And that oil lamp has Liang Zixing's name written on it. This is Liang Zixing's soul lamp. After spending a day in the space, the split soul completely took control of the doppelganger. He opened his eyes and looked at the space in the spiritual pearl. At that moment, Wang Dayuan felt very strange. He felt as if he had been split into two. He was in 2 different places at the same time, seeing 2 different scenes. Furthermore, the flow of time in the 2 places was 20 times faster. If he stayed in this state for too long, it would definitely drive him crazy. Luckily, the host soul could shut off the panoramic sensing of the clones. It could only sense where the clones were and could contact them directly without using the soul consciousness or language. Of course, this kind of connection had a distance limit. He could only guarantee absolute control of the divided soul within 5 kilometers. However, the space of the spirit pearl was a little special. As the owner of the space of the spirit pearl, and the spirit pearl was in his sea of consciousness, the distance between the main soul and the subsoul in the space was 0. If someone else cultivated the doppelganger soul nurturing technique and placed their doppelganger into the spiritual pearl, the distance between their main soul and the doppelganger would be infinitely far. Next, he took out 2 pots of jade butterfly orchid from the space and placed them in the cave. The doppelganger in the space of the spirit pearl also meditated near the jade butterfly orchid. With the help of the fragrance of the jade butterfly orchid, the effect of nourishing the soul was better, and the soul grew faster. In just 3 days, the injury of the soul was stabilized. Although it was impossible to completely recover without merging with the divided soul, at least there was no more pain. Outsiders could not see that his soul was injured, and the doppelganger had the help of the 20 times faster time flow in the space of the spirit pearl. It had already completed the fusion of the divided soul and the original soul of the doppelganger, repairing the damage caused by the soul-splitting blade. The doppelganger Liang Zixing also did chores in the space such as feeding the fish, harvesting and sowing the spirit grains. The doppelganger soul-nurturing technique also had a soul-searching effect. After the soul-splitting blade destroyed the doppelganger's intelligence and consciousness, its memory would not disappear. Instead, it would continue to exist in the doppelganger's sea of consciousness. Of course, the memory might be incomplete. After eating the soul-splitting blade, the doppelganger's intelligence and consciousness were obliterated. It was inevitable that the memory would be damaged. After the divided soul merged with the soul, it could pry into the doppelganger's previous memories. Wang Daoyuan naturally would not give up this great opportunity to pry into the secrets of the Liang clan. The divided soul had been prying into Liang Zixing's memories these days while doing chores. This method of prying into memories was a bit like watching a movie in his previous life. The doppelganger's previous experiences would be shown one by one. Fortunately, Liang Zixing was still a virgin. Otherwise, this prying into memories would be more awkward. Through this method, Wang Daoyuan understood that Liang Zixing was not a dispensable person in the Liang clan. He was the son of a foundation establishment elder in the Liang clan. This elder had 2 sons who were cultivators. The other was a complete waste. Only this son was passable. He had 3 spirit roots, and his main spirit root was the 6-inch 9-part fire spirit root. His talent was not bad, but it was not the best either. He was not ranked in the top few in the Liang clan. In terms of status, the Liang clan had 6 or 7 foundation establishment cultivators. Above this elder were the clan leader, the grand elder, and a few ordinary elders. He was not ranked. With Liang in the Liang clan, it was not difficult to get a foundation establishment pill from the Netherworld sect. However, the Liang clan had several foundation establishment cultivators, so it was impossible for them to give the foundation establishment pill to Liang Zixing. This elder did not want his descendant to sink like this. Therefore, he found a dangerous job for Liang Zixing, which was to go undercover in the Mirror Iron Mountain. In the future, they would work together to seize the Mirror Iron Mountain. With this contribution, they might be qualified to fight for the foundation establishment pill. The Liang clan had always wanted to annex the Wang clan for many reasons. Factional disputes were one of them, but it was not the main reason. The reason Liang hated the Wang clan was that when he was still an itinerant cultivator, he had a few good friends who eventually joined the Cruel Sun Palace. When the 3 sects rebelled, the Wang clan's patriarch, Wang Qingzu, killed the cultivators of the Cruel Sun Palace. 2 of Liang's good friends were also killed. Therefore, Liang hated the Wang clan. Later, the Wang clan joined the Yang clan's patriarch, Yang Yong, in order to protect themselves. Liang had a grudge with Yang Yong to begin with, so he disliked the Wang clan even more. Furthermore, the Wang clan had one of the best spirit veins in Qingli County. Although it had fallen to superior grade 3, it was still a middle grade 4 spirit vein, and there was still a chance for it to recover in the future. Jade Spring Peak was a spirit vein that could be used as the foundation of a golden core family. Be it in terms of scale or grade, it was several streets ahead of the Liang clan's Blue Cloud Peak. With these reasons, as well as the Liang clan's unreasonable and forceful style, it wasn't strange that they wanted to destroy the Wang clan. Wang Daoyuan also discovered another secret from Liang Zixing's memories. The Liang clan's patriarch had dealings with the Cruel Sun Palace. Liang's good friends who joined the Cruel Sun Palace did not die, and one of them even became a Purple Mansion elder. Furthermore, that Cruel Sun Palace elder had always been in contact with Liang. Recently, there was also the matter of the 2 sects joining forces to attack the Netherworld sect. Therefore, the Liang clan wanted to leave a way out. However, the Liang clan's territory was surrounded by the Wang, Yang, and Meng clans, and they did not even have room for development, let alone a way out. Therefore, Liang secretly thought of colluding with the Cruel Sun Palace. Of course, Liang was not a fool. He only hinted to the Cruel Sun Palace elder that he had this intention and did not actually take action. Only the Liang clan's patriarch and a few elders knew about this matter. Liang Zixing had only heard his father mention it by chance. When Wang Daoyuan learned of this secret, he really wanted to send Liang Zixing back to the Liang clan as a spy to find irrefutable evidence of the Liang clan colluding with the Cruel Sun Palace and then expose the Liang clan. However, he could only think about it. If the doppelganger soul nurturing technique could repair the damage to the soul, he would dare to do so. Now that the doppelganger soul nurturing technique did not have this ability, once Liang Zixing was killed, Wang Daoyuan's split soul would not be able to escape. Before finding a spirit item that could repair the damage to the soul, Wang Daoyuan definitely did not dare to take this risk. Chapter 80. Wang Daoyuan also peeked at Liang Zixing's cultivation method and magic arts. Unfortunately, this kid didn't cultivate any powerful techniques. Because he wasn't a foundation establishment seed of the Liang clan, he only cultivated the most common fire attribute technique, the Li fire art. This technique was already common. However, the spells that Liang Zixing cultivated were quite interesting. He was at the 5th stage of qi condensation, but when he entered the Mirror Iron Mountain, he only appeared to be at the 2nd stage. The reason was that he had cultivated a spell called the Breath Concealing Technique. This spell was not very advanced, but it could hide one's spirit qi fluctuations. It could only deceive qi refinement cultivators, but foundation establishment cultivators had strong divine senses and could not be deceived. In addition, there was also a technique called Appearance Changing Technique. It could change one's appearance. It should have originated from the mortal world and was later improved by cultivators. The disguise technique was divided into 2 types, one with spiritual energy and the other without spiritual energy. Without spirit power, one could change one's appearance by adjusting the position of one's facial muscles. The change wouldn't be large and the change to one's figure would be even smaller. By using spiritual power, one could completely disguise one's body. Wang Daoyuan judged that it came from the mortal world based on the fact that it could be cast without the use of spiritual energy. Without spirit power, there was no need to worry about magic arts being able to see through the disguise technique. Unless the opponent was a Zifu realm cultivator and could directly peek into the soul, they wouldn't be able to see one's true appearance. If one used spirit power, one's body would have obvious spirit power fluctuations. This was clearly telling the opponent that one was using a disguise technique. Unless one's spiritual sense was far stronger than the opponent's, they could use the power of their spiritual sense to conceal the spirit power fluctuations. Generally speaking, using spirit power was more suitable for dealing with opponents with weak spiritual senses. Not using spirit power was more suitable for hiding in front of experts. With these 2 techniques, Wang Daoyuan could try to sneak into the oasis and sell spirit talismans and spirit grains there without worrying about implicating the Wang clan. In addition to the aura concealing technique and appearance changing technique, there were also some fire attribute techniques that were useless against Wang Daoyuan. Ever since he captured Qi Yun, he had been busy and forgot to check Qi Yun's storage pouch. At that time, he was in a hurry to find the doppelganger soul nurturing technique, so he only took out the bead that controlled the array from his storage bag. He didn't check what was inside. As a peak foundation establishment cultivator, how could Qi Yun not have anything good in his storage bag? Wang Daoyuan opened Qi Yun's storage pouch. Inside, there were 3 jade slips and a few mid-grade spirit stones. He was somewhat disappointed. A grand peak foundation establishment cultivator only has this much. How embarrassing. But after thinking about it, he understood. Qi Yun was being hunted down like a grandson. If he had any good items, he would have already used them to save his life. Why would he keep them? Next, he checked the 3 jade slips. The first jade slip was the cultivation technique that Qi Yun had cultivated before he received the inheritance, the Gold Fury art. It could be cultivated up to the Violet Palace realm. The Golden Ferocious art nurtured baleful aura through slaughter. Using the baleful aura to fight against the enemy would not only harm the physical body but also the soul. Its lethality was above that of the metal-attributed spiritual energy. It was an extremely domineering cultivation technique. It seemed that this Qi Yun was not a kind person. He cultivated by killing. Who knew how many lives he had taken? If he had not coincidentally broken the sound wave attack, he probably would have died at his hands as well. The second jade slip was trash. It recorded the secret technique of Qi Yun spitting out corrosive black smoke and needle-shaped magic tools during his battle with Wang Daoyuan. This thing required corpse qi and baleful aura to cultivate. Hiding corpse qi in one's stomach was disgusting. It was better to throw it aside. The third jade slip made Wang Daoyuan overjoyed. It recorded the knowledge of formations. Qi Yun was a second-grade formation master. The formations in the secret cave were created by him. This jade slip recorded the basic knowledge of formations and dozens of formations. Among them, there were more than 10 second-grade formations. Apart from that, this jade slip also recorded Qi Yun's insights into formations. This was the complete inheritance of an upper-grade Tier 2 array master. Moreover, it contained more insights than an ordinary array master's inheritance. These insights could help beginners to master array masters faster. The Wang family needed a formation master to rebuild the family's protective formation and repair the chasing wave boat. However, the formation inheritance was not important to the Wang family. It was too difficult to nurture a formation master. That was because the market demand for formations was very small. Moreover, the factions that set up formations would look for famous formation masters. Therefore, formation masters who were not famous would not be able to generate any income for a long time. They could only rely on the family to support them. Moreover, it was very likely that formation masters would die of old age before they could generate any income. This was not a price that a foundation establishment family could afford. Even Zifu family clans generally did not nurture formation masters. Therefore, this formation inheritance was not very useful to the Wang family. However, Wang Daoyuan could learn it. However, he would not learn it himself. He would let his clone learn it. With the help of space and time flowing 20 times faster, even a pig would have some achievements. In the future, when the clone and main soul merged, he would be able to inherit what the clone had learned. Of course, what the clone had learned through the clone was not fully inherited by the main soul. However, when he learned formations in the future, he would already know all the techniques and tricks before he started. The only thing he lacked was practical operation. With a little practice, he would be able to grasp it very well. If Wang Daoyuan could refine the body that Qi Yun had taken over into a clone, he would probably only need a very short time to become a second-stage formation master. This was the effect of prying into other people's memories. Of course, it was also possible that he would not learn anything after prying into other people's memories. Success was 99% sweat and 1% inspiration. Prying into the clone's memories and then merging the clone with the main soul only saved 99% of the sweat. Without that 1% inspiration, he might not learn anything. After all, even if he taught hand to hand, there were still people who could not be taught. Moreover, prying into other people's memories was equivalent to watching teaching videos. In addition, because the clone's soul had been heavily injured, its cultivation and learning of the various arts of cultivation were much slower than ordinary people. There was no problem in learning the basics. It was not reliable to expect the clone to have high attainments. It was only used to accumulate experience. Even if refining Qi Yun into a clone had great benefits, Wang Daoyuan did not dare to make a move at this time. He didn't know what Qi Yun's current situation was, but if his spiritual energy was stronger than his, then even if the soul-splitting blade could cut through Qi Yun's consciousness and spirit, his soul would suffer irreparable damage. He didn't dare take such a risk. Wang Daoyuan helplessly said to himself, taking care of Qi Yun and Liang Zixing and sneaking back to the Liang family to gather information. These two important matters were delayed because I was afraid of damaging my soul. Why couldn't the 10,000 Corpse spiritual master properly deduce the soul-merging secret technique? It was impossible for him to deduce it himself. Without knowledge and cultivation, he could only hope to find a spirit medicine to repair the damage to his soul. Of Qi Yun's belongings, only the Golden Fury art and the formation inheritance could be handed over to the family. He would keep the rest for himself. However, he had to leave behind a copy of the formation inheritance. After putting away Qi Yun's belongings, Wang Daoyuan took out Liang Zixing's storage bag. This was relatively shabby. There was only a first-rank mid-grade fire attribute sword, some spirit grains, and a few spirit stones inside. After all, Liang Zixing was going undercover and disguised as a second-level Qi disciple. If he brought too many things, it would be easy for him to be exposed. If this kid had not tried to strike up a conversation with him and acted more like a rogue cultivator, Wang Daoyuan would not have suspected him. The consequences could have been very serious. Chapter 81. He hadn't eaten anything after so many days of closed-door cultivation. Now that he was done, he felt hungry. His spiritual awareness entered the space of the spiritual bead to see if there was anything delicious. The fiery sun wood and golden silk spirit jujube had been planted for more than a month. According to the time in the space, it had been more than 2 years. The fiery sunwood had already begun to flower and bear seeds. Now there was a third generation of fiery sunwood sapling. The sapling of the golden silk spirit jujube was indeed fine. It had grown to the height of a person and the thickness of an arm. Although ordinary jujube trees could bear fruit when they sprouted, the golden silk spirit jujube was obviously not the same. It still hadn't bloomed and bore fruit. However, this was normal. After all, it was a rare and valuable spiritual plant. How could it bear fruit so easily? The 5 lotus seeds planted had successfully sprouted and grown. However, they had grown in the space for more than 2 years and still hadn't bloomed. This was definitely not blackwater lotus. Blackwater lotus was a spiritual plant of the lower grade of the first level. With sufficient spiritual energy, it could bloom and bear fruit in a year. In the space of the spiritual bead, there were spiritual fields of the lower grade of the second level. In 2 years, it should be 2 seasons long. Like blackwater lotus, but not blackwater lotus, it could really be black jade lotus. It didn't take up much space, so he just let it grow. The spiritual wheat transplanted in the underground cave residence had been multiplied for several generations in the space of the spiritual bead. At first, there were only a few stalks. Wang Daoyuan sowed all the harvested spiritual wheat as seeds. After several generations of reproduction, the scale was not small. He changed the 1 mu of spiritual grains in the space to spiritual wheat. The growth period of spiritual wheat was slightly longer than that of spiritual grains. But with a time acceleration of 20 times, it only took 5 days to harvest. The output of spiritual wheat was also slightly higher than that of spiritual grains. In the outside world, spiritual grains produced 200 caddies per mu. There were no pests in the space, and there were soul-chasing bees to help pollinate. The output of spiritual wheat was estimated to be more than 300 caddies per mu. In addition to keeping 20 caddies of spiritual wheat as seeds, there were still 50 to 60 caddies of spiritual wheat that could be eaten. Wang Daoyuan ordered his clone to grind all the 50 to 60 caddies of spiritual wheat into flour and then roll it into dumpling wrappers. Unfortunately, there was only fish meat in the space, so he could only eat fish dumplings. The filling of the dumplings was only fish meat with salt, and there were no other vegetables. Even so, Wang Daoyuan still ate until tears streamed down his face. After 20 years, I finally get to eat dumplings again. Although the meat filling is a little lacking, it's still dumplings. The next time I go out, I must collect some vegetables and plant them in the space. At the very least, I need scallions, ginger, and garlic. I also need to raise a few pigs and sheep. I really can't get used to the taste of fish dumplings. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, he remembered that his little brother had already been in the clan for a few days. There was a limit to the amount of resources the family gave to the underage disciples. Her younger brother's situation was special. The family had never encountered such a situation before, so there was no special provision. It was still distributed according to the amount of spirit grains given to normal underage disciples. He was probably starving to death. After all, he was her younger brother. She didn't lack food. She couldn't just watch him starve. He had his doppelganger knead the dough, roll out the dumpling skin, and wrap more than 10 kilograms of dumplings. He cooked all of them and sent them to his younger brother. Although his younger brother couldn't eat that much, his great-grandfather still had a few younger brothers and sisters. He couldn't let his younger brother eat dumplings while the other younger brothers and sisters watched. Besides, he had to let his great-grandfather have a taste of the new food that he had created. Wang Daoyuan packed the dumplings in a food box and went straight to the library tower. The underage disciples in the clan spent most of their time in the Tripitaka Tower, practicing cultivation techniques, dharma spells, and reading the books in the tower. When he arrived near the library tower, he saw Wang Daoyin eating the spirit grains pitifully. It was obvious that he hadn't eaten enough in the past few days. Wang Daoyin almost burst into tears when he saw his second brother coming with the food box. He ate half a bowl of spirit grains in one gulp and rushed to Wang Daoyuan. When he arrived in front of Wang Daoyuan, he couldn't wait to open the food box. When he saw the dumplings, he asked curiously, "Brother, what's this? Is it edible?" Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Of course it's edible. It's a new food that I just created." When he heard Wang Daoyuan say it was edible, Wang Daoyin immediately picked up a pair of chopsticks to pick up the dumplings. Wang Daoyuan patted his head and said, "If you have something good, give it to your elders first. Don't be so casual in the clan. You have to know how to respect your elders, okay?" Wang Daoyin nodded and took the food box. He ran to his great-grandfather, Wang Jize, who was sitting under the pine tree. Wang Jize was also curious when he saw the dumplings and asked, "Daoyuan, what's this?" Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "Great-grandfather, these are dumplings. They're a new food that I created." Wang Jize picked up his chopsticks and tasted one. He said, "These dumplings are really good. How did you make them?" "Great-grandfather." Wang Daoyuan replied, "The skin of the dumplings is made from spirit grains and the filling is made from fish. It's a pity that I didn't have any seasoning, so I could only make them like this." Wang Jize nodded and said, "It's already very good that you can make them like this with simple ingredients. You've been a glutton since you were young, but you're also smart and know how to cook." At this moment, a woman in a white dress came out of the hidden scripture tower and asked, "What did seventh brother make this time?" Wang Daoyuan saw her and said with a smile, "I created a new food called dumplings. Eighth sister, you're just in time. Come and try it." This woman was called Wang Daoshu. She was ranked 8th and was still underage. However, the clan was short of manpower, so she was also sent to the drunken Immortal restaurant to learn cooking. Seventh brother's food has always been delicious. I have to eat more. Wang Daoshu smiled. She tasted a dumpling and said, "This taste is really good. I can sell it at the drunken Immortal restaurant. Seventh brother, teach me how to make dumplings. If I sell dumplings at the drunken Immortal restaurant, my business will definitely be good." Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "It's not difficult. Grind spirit grains into powder, add water and mix it into dough, then roll it into pieces. This is how to make the dumpling skin. Use the meat of spirit beasts or spirit fish, add some vegetables and seasonings, and mince it into minced meat. This is how to make the dumpling filling. Finally, use the dumpling skin to wrap the filling and pinch the sides to make the dumplings. There are many ways to make the dumpling filling, and it's also possible to use vegetables. As for how to eat it, you can steam it, boil it, or fry it. Eighth sister, you're so smart. It's easy for you to learn such a simple thing." Wang Daoshu immediately smiled when she heard her seventh brother praising her intelligence. "Seventh brother, you really know how to talk. These dumplings are also very delicious. Can I eat more?" "Eat as much as you want." Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "I prepared more than 10 kilograms of dumplings this time. I'm sure great-grandfather and my brothers and sisters can eat until they're full." Wang Daoyin was happy when she heard that she could eat until she was full. She picked up a big bowl and said, "Second brother, I haven't eaten until now." Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "Who told you to eat so much? Even if I set aside an acre of spirit land to feed you, you can't eat until you're full every meal. Remember, when you enter the family, you have to call me seventh brother according to the ranking in the family." All the brothers and sisters also took a bowl of rice. Wang Daoyuan also filled a bowl for great-grandfather Wang Jize. Then, Wang Daoyuan took out a storage bag and handed it to Wang Daoyin. He said, "This is 500 kilograms of spirit grains. Eat slowly. I still have the ability to let you eat until you're full. You're more talented than me. Cultivate well at great-grandfather's place. Don't waste such good talent." He said goodbye to great-grandfather and his brother and returned to his cave residence to prepare for leaving the mountain. After the patriarch and the elders finished their discussion, he should leave Jade Spring Peak and contact the people of Green Willow Province. Chapter 82. 3 days later, the 12th uncle, Wang Shui, came to his cave residence. Wang Daoist opened the door to the cave residence and welcomed the 12th uncle in. He asked, "12th uncle, you came in such a hurry. Is there something urgent?" Wang Shui did not treat Wang Daoist as an outsider. He picked up a jar of wine from the cave residence and drank. He said, "I came to find you for two matters. One is that the secret cave residence and the matters at Green Willow Province are finished. The clan leader asked me to call you over. There are some matters that require your participation. The second matter is about the dumplings. That girl Dao Shu came to find me and asked me to plant a few mu of spirit wheat to make dumplings. Let me ask you, compared to planting spirit grains, is planting spirit wheat worth it?" "I will go to the clan leader in a moment," Wang Daoist answered. As for spirit wheat, the yield per mu is higher than spirit grains. It is just more troublesome to plant. But if spirit wheat is ground into powder, it can be made into many kinds of delicacies. After the market is opened, it should be more worth it than planting spirit grains. Since it is worth it, then I am at ease. After this season's harvest of spirit grains, we will free up a few mu of land to plant spirit wheat." Wang Shui said with satisfaction, "Daoist, if you have nothing else, let us go see the clan leader. He is still waiting. Also, don't spread the dumplings recipe. The clan is still relying on this to earn spirit stones." Wang Daoist had nothing else to do and followed Wang Shui to the meeting hall. Wang Jian saw the two arrive and went straight to the point. "Shui, Daoist, come with me to the cave residence at the foot of Mirror Iron Mountain. We will also discuss with the people of Green Willow Province." The two agreed. The three did not take the water route. They disguised themselves and took the land route, heading towards Mirror Iron Mountain in the southeast direction. After the decline of the Wang clan, the Liang clan had taken over a large piece of the traditional territory north of Clear Stream and east of Clear Glass River. It was a prime area near Clear Glass Market. Clear Glass River and Clear Stream, these two golden water routes, were controlled by the Liang clan. The three were going to see the secret cave residence of the clan. If they took the water route, they would be discovered by the Liang clan. And this time, the patriarch had gone there personally. It couldn't be a small matter. If they were discovered by the Liang clan, they would definitely send out Foundation establishment cultivators to follow and monitor them. Then, the Wang clan's secret Immortal's cave would no longer be a secret. If the Liang clan found out and reported to the underworld sect, the Wang clan would be done for. The three of them disguised themselves as rogue cultivators. Sometimes they would split up, sometimes they would gather together, and many times they would use the water escape technique to hide their tracks. In the end, the three of them met at a small lake about 200 li north of Mirror Iron Mountain. Wang Shui asked, "Daoist, what should we do next?" Wang Daoist replied, "There's an underground river next to the cave. The upper reaches should be in this area. I used the earth escape technique to burrow into the ground, found the underground river, and followed it." The three of them searched the nearby underground. Perhaps it was because the three of them cultivated water attribute cultivation techniques. They were sensitive to water spiritual energy. Soon they found the location of the underground river. After entering the underground river, it would be difficult for even a golden core cultivator to detect the depth of several hundred feet. The three of them naturally did not need to conceal their presence. They advanced at full speed in the underground river. Wang Daoyuan's cultivation base was much lower than the two of them. He could only use the spirit travel talisman and follow closely behind. In less than a quarter of an hour, the three of them arrived at the entrance of the underground cave. Wang Jian pointed to the stone wall and asked, "Daoyuan, this is the entrance of the cave?" Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, "It's here. You need to use the bead that controls the formation to open it." This person really is a formation genius. He can actually hide a cave with a second-level low-grade spirit spring without leaking any presence. If not for Daoyuan leading the way, I would not have been able to find the cave. Wang Jian said emotionally. Wang Daoyuan took out the bead that controls the formation. Under the activation of spirit energy, a hole appeared in the stone wall. The three of them entered the cave. Wang Jian and Wang Shui walked directly to the spirit spring. Wang Jian closed his eyes and sensed for a while, saying, "It is indeed a second-level low-grade spirit spring. Moreover, this spirit spring has not been formed for long, only 1,000 years. There is still a lot of room for growth. Just this spirit spring alone is enough to become the foundation of a foundation establishment clan." Finished speaking, he went to look at the spirit field, the pond, and the jade butterfly orchid by the water's edge. He swept his gaze over the entire Immortal's cave and said, "Sure enough, Dun's words were true. This Immortal's cave is enough to accommodate an early-stage foundation establishment cultivator and over 30 qi condensation cultivators." At this time, Wang Daoyuan took out 2 jade slips and said, "This is the evil cultivator's cultivation method, as well as his understanding of formations. This understanding of formations can be said to be the inheritance of a second-level high-grade formation master. That evil cultivator also has an enemy at the peak of foundation establishment. Moreover, that enemy's strength is comparable to an early Zifu stage cultivator. If this were to leak out, our Wang clan would probably be annihilated. Therefore, I did not dare to hand these 2 jade slips over to the Hidden Scriptures Tower. Here, the news will not leak out." Wang Daoyuan had already made a copy of the jade slip that recorded his understanding of formations. As for the Gold Fury art, he had no use for it, so he did not make a copy. Wang Jian took the jade slip and scanned it with his spiritual sense, saying, "Daoyuan is indeed meticulous. You have thought of everything so thoroughly. Thus, I am also relieved. Since this cave was discovered by you, and the magic tool controlling the formation has already recognized you as its master, this cave will be handed over to you to manage. All the elders have also agreed. According to the clan's rules, if a clan member discovers an vein or spirit vein outside of the clan's territory, 30% will go to the discoverer. If it is outside of the clan's territory, 50% will go to the discoverer. This cave is within the clan's territory. In the future, 30% of the cave's harvest will go to you. In addition, only the clan leader can know the exact location of this cave. You are not allowed to tell anyone else." Hearing the clan leader's arrangement, Wang Daoyuan hurriedly declined, "Clan leader, this cave is the clan's backup shelter. If the situation is unfavorable in the future, this cave will be the clan's place to settle down. It is not something vein or spirit vein can compare to. How can I take a share here?" Wang Jian smiled and said, "All the elders are well aware that you are wholeheartedly doing this for the clan. However, there are not only 1 or 2 people in the clan. If there is something good, you can use it or I can use it. There are dozens of cultivators in the clan and more than 100,000 ordinary people. If so many people are not properly managed, there will definitely be chaos. Since there are rules, everyone should abide by them. You don't want to share because it is for the clan's good, but it is also breaking the clan's rules. If you don't take a share today, there may be clansmen who discover an vein or spirit vein tomorrow and feel that there is no profit in giving it to the clan. They may hide it for their own benefit or even sell the information to outsiders. At that time, the clan will be the one to suffer losses. You are worried that the situation will change in the future and the clan will need to rely on this cave to survive. Who knows when that will happen? If that day really comes, then we can talk about changing the share." The clan leader's words were reasonable and well-founded. Wang Daoyuan also couldn't refute it. He didn't want the income from this cave mainly because he really didn't care about it. There was no need to fight with the clan. However, since the clan had rules, then he would do his best to help the clan within the clan's rules. Chapter 83. Giving benefits to the clan but breaking the rules would cause the clan's people to be unstable, which could cause more harm than good to the clan. In addition to Wang Shi's persuasion, Wang Daoyuan bowed and said, "Grandson understands. Then this share will be transferred to Daoyin. This kid's appetite is too big. The amount of spirit grains allocated by the clan is not enough for him to eat. I promised my parents to take good care of him. I can't let him starve." Wang Jian did not refuse this time. "Since you want to transfer it, then there's no problem. The share is yours. How you deal with it is your right. The value of the 2 jade slips you handed over is very high." Later, I'll reward you with 2,000 clan contribution points. Alright, does this cave and spirit spring have a name? I'm dealing with an evil cultivator. I'm not in the mood to ask him these questions. This cave doesn't have a signboard or anything like that. Just pretend it doesn't have a name. Since the clan head is here, then please name it. Wang Daoyuan replied. Wang Jian smiled. Then I'll be impolite. The most valuable thing in this cave is this spirit spring. Let's call it the Spirit Spring Cave. As for the name of this spirit spring, since the spirit spring gave birth to the unique spirit plant Jade Butterfly Orchid, then let's call it the Jade Butterfly Spring. Wang Daoyuan naturally had no objection. Wang Jian continued, this cave will be left to you to manage. Don't let anyone know that you're guarding the cave. Just right, this place is rich in water spirit energy. You also cultivate a water attribute cultivation method. It's not bad to cultivate here. Let's leave the matter of the Spirit Spring Cave like this. You go and pass a message to the rogue cultivator from the Green Willow province. I want to see his master. The meeting place will be at the north bank of the Clear Stream, the border between the Sky Beheading Mountain Range and our Wang clan's territory. The time will be set by them, but it's best to arrange it within 2 months. Before the meeting, Shui and I will wait in this cave. Wang Daoyuan gave the spirit pearl that controlled the formation to the clan head and said, since the cave is called the Spirit Spring Cave, then this spirit pearl should also be called the Spirit Spring Pearl. Although this Spirit Spring Pearl doesn't recognize its master and can't control the formation, it can control the opening and closing of the door. Take it first, then I'll go and contact Qin Liang. Wang Jian took the Spirit Spring Pearl, nodded and said, go. Wang Daoyuan left the Spirit Spring Cavern abode. In order to deceive others, he changed into a disguise and changed his appearance. He used the breath-concealing technique to hide his cultivation level to the second level of Qi Disciple before heading to the Mirror Iron Mountain. After meeting his 8th uncle, Wang Daoyuan, Wang Shoujiang, he asked him to help find Qin Liang. Qin Liang arrived at Wang Daoyuan's cave residence. Wang Daoyuan said to Wang Shoujiang, 8th uncle, this matter is top secret. The clan leader has ordered that no one who is not involved in this matter is to be revealed. 8th uncle, please leave. Although Wang Shoujiang did things hastily, he was still able to see the big picture. After hearing Wang Daoyuan's words, he wasn't the slightest bit dissatisfied. Instead, he didn't say anything further and directly left the abode. Wang Daoyuan said to Qin Liang, I have already reported your master's intention to do business with my Wang family to the clan head. The clan head's intention is that this matter is of great importance, and it is inevitable that the news will be leaked through word transmission. The clan head will discuss with your master whether or not to cooperate, and how to cooperate. The location of the meeting will be on the north bank of the Clear Stream, at the border between the Sky Beheading Mountain Range and my Wang family's territory. The specific time can be arranged by your master, but it would be best if it is within 2 months. I wonder if you have any objections? After hearing Wang Daoyuan's words, Qin Liang knew that his mission was completed. He was very happy and hurriedly said, I am just a servant, how would I dare to have any objections? I will return to the oasis and report to my master the clan head's intentions. After my master has made his decision, he will definitely send someone to inform me. Wang Daoyuan added, I will say the ugly words first. If there is no news within 2 months, then this matter will be dropped. In addition, if the news is leaked, my Wang family will definitely not admit that we are cooperating with the oasis. Also, if I find out that you are playing tricks at the meeting location, I will not attend. At that time, don't say that my Wang family is not keeping its promises. Qin Liang was silent for a while, then said, Daoyou's words, I will definitely report it to my master without changing a word. As for my master's decision, that is not something I can guess. If you don't have anything else to say, I will take my leave. Wang Daoyuan smiled, I won't see you out. After sending Qin Liang off, he did not return to the Spiritual Spring Cavern, but stayed at Mirror Iron Mountain to cultivate. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. Qin Liang once again came to Mirror Iron Mountain. Wang Daoyuan saw Qin Liang and asked, How did your master decide? Qin Liang clasped his hands, My master ordered me to tell the clan head that he has accepted the Wang family's invitation and conditions. In 20 days he will meet at the place chosen by the clan head. This is not only my master's intention, but also the intention of all the foundation establishment cultivators of the oasis. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was a little surprised. He had always thought that Qin Liang's master only wanted to do business with the Wang family and strengthen his own strength. He did not expect that this was the intention of all the upper echelons of the oasis. It seemed that the oasis was truly lacking in resources. The Wang family's partner was not just Qin Liang's master, but the entire oasis. The Wang family's business with the oasis was much better. They did not need to worry about the internal conflicts of the oasis and other foundation establishment cultivators interfering. He understood Qin Liang's meaning. I will report this to the clan head. I ask that Dao Yu stay at Mirror Iron Mountain for a few days. If the clan head has any requests, he can let Dao Yu pass on the message. Wang Daoyuan left Mirror Iron Mountain and circled around before using the Earth Escape Talisman to return to the Spiritual Spring Cavern. When the restriction of the Spiritual Spring Cavern was closed, he did not need the Spiritual Spring Pearl to pass through the stone wall. If the restriction was opened, anyone who dared to use the Earth Escape technique to enter the Spiritual Spring Cavern would be attacked. After returning to the Spiritual Spring Cavern, he reported Qin Liang's message and his own judgment to the clan head. The clan head did not have any new instructions. He also volunteered to scout the location of the meeting to prevent an ambush. Although there was no conflict of interest between the oasis and the Wang family, and the probability of killing the clan head was not high, it was not completely impossible. For example, someone could pay a large enough price to ask the people of the oasis to set up a trap. Although the clan head was not the only foundation establishment cultivator of the Wang family, he was the true pillar of the Wang family. If the clan head was killed, even if the Wang family did not collapse, it would suffer a heavy blow. To prevent this from happening, after Wang Daoyuan reported the news to Qin Liang and saw him off, he immediately headed for the meeting location. Mirror Iron Mountain was only a few hundred li away from the periphery of the Heaven/Mountain range. He did not dare to travel openly, so he could only travel stealthily. It took him more than a day to reach the vicinity of the meeting location. He had lived on the Jade Spring Peak since he was young, so he had seen the world in terms of spirit veins. However, when he reached the periphery of the Heaven/Mountain range, he was shocked. Looking into the Heaven/Mountain range, he saw a group of towering mountains shrouded in mist. Within the mist, he could faintly hear the roars of tigers, the cries of apes, the cries of phoenixes and cranes. On the nearby mountain peak, there were strange pines and strange rocks everywhere, with clear streams flowing to the left and right. Rare and exotic beasts were faintly discernible, and exotic flowers and herbs were everywhere. It was a scene of immortals. Even if there were no spirit veins here, the concentration of spirit chi was close to the Spiritual Spring Cavern. Chapter 84. Heavenly/Mountain Range is worthy of being Beiyuan Xiuxian's main spirit vein. Even the border several thousand miles away from the main vein has such high spirit energy density. What kind of scenery would the main vein be like? Wang Daoyuan exclaimed. He advanced along the border and used his divine sense to investigate the Heavenly/Mountain Range. But after advancing 40 to 50 miles, he discovered 5 to 6 Tier 1 spirit veins. Among them, there were even 2 that had just formed the embryonic form of spirit veins. The spirit energy at the location of these spirit veins was extremely dense. It was not impossible for them to grow into Tier 2 spirit veins in the future. Of course, regarding the main vein, Wang Daoyuan was only thinking about it. Even if he had 100 guts, he would not dare to enter the Heavenly/Mountain Range's main vein. Legend had it that there were countless high-level demonic beasts there. Golden core cultivators might not be able to come out after entering, let alone he was just a chi refinement cultivator. It was impossible to enter the main vein, but searching around the periphery was still pretty good. He released over 50 soul-chasing bees and gave them orders through the Bee King to search for spiritual items in the nearby 100 miles. After an hour, According to the soul-chasing bee's flying speed, they could make a few round trips within the 100 miles. However, out of the 50 or so soul-chasing bees that were released, only 10 or so returned. Looks like this heavenly/mountain range's periphery is also full of danger. Although the soul-chasing bees were only low-grade Tier 1 and were not strong, their flying speed was extremely fast. To be able to keep the soul-chasing bees, either they had special abilities or their cultivation was not low. If he personally went to investigate, it would absolutely be a dead end. Wang Daoyuan originally thought that as long as he released the bee swarm in the periphery of the heavenly/mountain range, he would be like a radar that detected spirit plants and spirit beasts. All the spiritual items within a radius of 1,000 miles would be under his control. Looking at it now, he still thought too simply of the heavenly/mountain range. This was just near the periphery, and the soul-chasing bees' losses exceeded 80%. If they were to enter a few hundred miles deep into the heavenly/mountain range, probably none of the soul-chasing bees would be able to come out alive. There might even be high-level demonic beasts following the soul-chasing bees and killing him. Wang Daoyuan understood the situation from these dozen over surviving soul-chasing bees through the Bee King and determined the danger of various places. Although the soul-chasing bee had already become a spiritual insect, its intelligence was still not enough. It could only briefly describe what it saw. One of the bees described, there was a pile of purple spiritual herbs with abundant spiritual energy. Beside them was a demonic beast with long ears. The demonic beast's body was about the same size as its beehive. According to the description of this long-tailed wasp, that cluster of purple spirit herbs was most likely a second-tier spirit herb. It had long ears and its body was about the size of a beehive. It was most likely a rabbit demonic beast. The rabbit-type demonic beasts were very timid. When they encountered an enemy, they would quickly run away. If they were not chased into a corner, they would not attack. In the past, Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to raise herbivorous spirit beasts. He only dared to raise spirit fish, mainly because he was afraid that they would harm the spirit plants in the space. Now that he had a clone to take care of the spirit orb, he no longer had to worry about this. He could catch a few rabbit demonic beasts and raise them in the space. He could also make full use of the spiritual rice straws in the space. In addition, rabbits reproduce quickly. In the future, Wang Daoyuan would not lack meat. After he raised a group of rabbits, he could give a few to the family. It would also be an additional ingredient for the drunken Immortal restaurant. He ordered the soul-chasing bee to lead the way in front while he used the breath-concealing technique to follow behind. After all, they were in the periphery of the sky-beheading mountain range. Any demonic beast that jumped out could easily tear him apart. The soul-chasing bee could safely pass through the place, but it didn't mean that he could also pass through it safely. The soul-chasing bee's cultivation was low, its body was small, and it could fly quickly. Most demonic beasts were not interested in it. However, Wang Daoyuan was different. To demonic beasts, his spiritual energy was higher. He could eat a lot and he couldn't fly. He was an excellent food. Therefore, every time he came to a place with lush vegetation, he would use his divine sense to scan the surroundings to prevent poisonous snakes and insects hidden in the vegetation from attacking him when he passed by. Caution was the parent of safety. Relying on caution, Wang Daoyuan followed the soul-chasing bee for more than 20 kilometers and avoided the ambush of 3 waves of poisonous snakes and insects. Because he used the breath-concealing technique, as long as he didn't get too close to the demonic beasts, he wouldn't be discovered. In addition, his route was always near the periphery of the sky-beheading mountain range. There were very few rank 2 demonic beasts, and he deliberately avoided the demonic beasts' nests. Along the way, he was scared but not in danger. Soon, Wang Daoyuan arrived at the area where the soul-chasing bee found the purple spirit herb. He scanned the surroundings and quickly found the place where the purple spirit herb was located. There was a gray rabbit with ears half the length of its body squatting by the grass. It was leisurely eating the grass. He didn't dare to release his divine sense to observe for fear of disturbing the rabbit. At this moment, Wang Daoyuan was only about 10 feet away from the purple spiritual grass. Immortal cultivators all had good eyesight. At this distance, he could clearly see the spiritual grass and the rabbit. To Wang Daoyuan, the spirit herb and the rabbit were not unfamiliar. The rabbit was a rank 1 low-grade long-eared rabbit. It didn't have much combat power, but its hearing was sharp and it ran fast. This rabbit was easy to raise. As long as it was a spirit herb, it wouldn't let it go. Its reproduction speed was also very shocking. A pair of rabbits could reproduce 4 times a year, giving birth to more than 10 little rabbits each time. If he could catch a pair of rabbits, he could eat long-eared rabbits as food in the future. Wang Daoyuan was too familiar with the spirit herb that the long-eared rabbit was eating. As a spirit talisman master, how could he not recognize the materials used to make talisman paper? This purple spirit herb was a rank 2 low-grade spirit herb, purple goldgrass. A 10-year-old purple goldgrass could be used to make a rank 2 low-grade talisman paper. A 50-year-old purple goldgrass could be used to make a rank 2 mid-grade talisman paper. A 100-year-old purple goldgrass could be used to make a rank 2 high-grade talisman paper. Although the Wang family also had a few rank 2 spirit herbs, they didn't plant the purple goldgrass. The main reason was that there were no living stalks or seeds of the purple goldgrass. The talisman paper used by 9th great-uncle to make a rank 2 low-grade spirit talisman was also purchased. Now that they found the purple goldgrass, it could be said that it added another source of income to the Wang family. At least in the future, the cost of making rank 2 spirit talismans could be reduced by a lot. They could also sell rank 2 talisman paper. The purple gold grass grew there and wouldn't run away. For the time being, there was no need to worry about it. It was more important to think of a way to capture the long-eared rabbit. Wang Daoyuan thought of a way to capture the long-eared rabbit. This thing had a keen sense of hearing. If he approached, it would be difficult to guarantee that he wouldn't be discovered. Once the long-eared rabbit was frightened and ran away, he wouldn't dare to carelessly chase after it in this dangerous place. It was possible that he would be brought to a rank 2 demonic beast's nest and die without even knowing how he died. Wang Daoyuan only had 2 methods to subdue the long-eared rabbit. The first was the soul-extinguishing bell. With 1 bell ring, even if the long-eared rabbit didn't die, it wouldn't have much breath left. The second was to use the illusion cloud talisman to make the long-eared rabbit fall into an illusion. He would then take the opportunity to capture the long-eared rabbit. The soul-extinguishing bell definitely couldn't be used. If he used an indiscriminate sound wave attack here, it would anger the surrounding demonic beasts. It was very likely that he would be surrounded by demonic beasts. He was more than 30 meters away from the long-eared rabbit. The slightest movement would scare the long-eared rabbit away. If he directly threw the talisman at it, by the time the talisman reached it, the long-eared rabbit would have run 2 miles away. If he relied on the cloud mist escape to quickly approach it and then threw out the talisman, there was a bit of hope. However, it was only a bit of hope. Although the spiritual energy here was dense, it wasn't pure water spiritual energy. Wang Daoyuan's current cloud mist escape could only allow him to escape 20 meters away. He couldn't directly reach the long-eared rabbit. He still had to throw the illusion cloud talisman several meters away. He wasn't willing to give up just like that. If there was hope, he had to try. Even if he failed, he would only lose an illusion cloud talisman and a few spirit stones. Chapter 85. Wang Daoyuan's divine sense entered the space of the spirit pearl and controlled an illusion cloud talisman. He then used the cloud escape, and a cloud of mist with a diameter of more than 7 feet appeared in front of him. He immediately ran forward and used the illusion cloud talisman in the space of the spirit pearl. He instantly appeared only 10 feet away from the long-eared rabbit. At the same time, a cloud of mist flew out from between his eyebrows and enveloped the long-eared rabbit. He instantly escaped more than 7 feet away. The sound of wind breaking had already been heard by the long-eared rabbit. When he used the illusion cloud talisman, the long-eared rabbit had already started to escape. Now it was a competition of speed. Let's see if the illusion cloud talisman's enveloping speed was faster or if the long-eared rabbit was faster. Victory or defeat would only be decided in an instant. In less than half a breath's time, the cloud of mist created by the illusion cloud talisman enveloped the long-eared rabbit. The illusion cloud talisman caused the enemy to fall into an illusion. It must cover the enemy's head. If the long-eared rabbit's head wasn't covered, it wouldn't fall into the illusion. The frightened long-eared rabbit stomped on the ground with its 2 hind legs and leaped several feet away in an instant, leaving behind a cloud of mist on the ground. Wang Dayuan sighed and said, "As expected of the long-eared rabbit, so clever. I didn't want to waste time, but you forced me to destroy its nest." He immediately released 100 soul-chasing bees from the space and ordered them to chase after the long-eared rabbit through the Bee King. The 100 soul-chasing bees quickly flew in the direction of the long-eared rabbit. Although the long-eared rabbit ran fast, it was still a demonic beast of the first tier. Wang Daoyuan could catch up with it using the spirit travel talisman, but running around in the sky-beheading mountain range was too dangerous. Although he overcame his fear of death and no longer ran when facing enemies, he didn't want to die. However, being unafraid of death did not mean that he was courting death. Risking his life to chase after a rabbit was not worth it. But it was different with the soul-chasing bees. Their speed was comparable to a first-layer foundation establishment cultivator's flying sword. Chasing after the rabbit was too easy. Moreover, they could help to scout the way. If there was danger ahead, the soul-chasing bees would die first. When the soul-chasing bees returned, he would follow them to the rabbit's nest. The danger would be much lower. With the queen bee around, as long as there were enough resources, she could lay hundreds of eggs a day. In 1 or 2 years, the little soul-chasing bees hatched from the eggs could reach adulthood. Coupled with the fact that the time flow in the space was 20 times faster, it would only take a little more than a month to nurture a batch of them. The death of a few workers was nothing. As the saying goes, rabbits don't eat the grass near their burrows. The long-eared rabbit's nest should be quite far away from here, so the soul-chasing bees wouldn't be able to come back for a while. First, he put the purple gold grass into the space. It was a second-rank spirit herb, and it was also the raw material for making second-rank talismans. Its value was much higher than the long-eared rabbit's. This clump of purple gold grass had 50 to 60 stalks. Wang Daoyuan did not dig up all of the purple gold grass, he only took half of them. He dug out 20 to 30 stalks of purple gold grass along with the soil. This way, he would not harm the roots of the purple gold grass and would not affect its growth at all. After throwing the purple gold grass into the spiritual pearl space, he didn't need to worry about anything else. It was good to have a doppelganger. If there was something to do, the doppelganger would do it. While waiting for the soul-chasing bees, he didn't stay idle. He used his divine sense to scan the surroundings to see if there were any spirit herbs that were worth nurturing. Within the range of the sky/mountain range, there were almost no ordinary plants. The lowest level plants contained spirit chi but were not ranked. Most of these unranked plants did not have much value. After all, these plants did not contain as much spirit chi as spirit grains, so they could not be grown on a large scale. However, a few unranked plants still had special uses. For example, Wang Daoyuan encountered a very valuable spirit herb, chili. Ordinary itinerant cultivators would not even look at this thing. It had little spirit chi, and its production was not high. It could not be used to refine pills or fill one's stomach. What was the use of it? For Wang Daoyuan, it was very valuable. He could arrange for hot pot. Although this chili was only an unranked spirit herb, at least it was not harmful to cultivators. It could be used to make spirit food. Also, he could arrange for the long-eared rabbit and the spicy rabbit head that he was about to obtain. He still lacked Sichuan pepper. Qingxi village had Sichuan pepper trees. Although it was very difficult to nurture ordinary plants to a rank, this was a qualitative change, and the difficulty was higher than upgrading spirit herbs. However, ordinary plants only needed to be planted in places with abundant spirit chi and propagated for a few generations to become unranked spirit herbs. This was only a quantitative change, and the difficulty was not high. Although unranked spirit herbs did not have much effect on cultivators, at least they were not like ordinary food, which would increase the impurities in the body. It would not take long for ordinary Sichuan pepper trees to become unranked spirit herbs if they were planted in the stage 2 spirit fields in the space of the spirit pearl. This also inspired Wang Daoyuan. In the past, he only thought about looking for spiritual plants. He didn't think about looking for some valuable ordinary plants. He planted them in the second-order spiritual field in the space and let them evolve into spiritual plants that weren't ranked. In this way, there was no lack of various spirit herbs that could be used as seasonings. He would be able to gather them by going around the various areas where ordinary people lived in the Wang family's territory. At this moment, Wang Daoyuan's heart was filled with a sense of mission. Perhaps the heavens let him reincarnate into this world so that he could promote Chinese food culture. If he had the opportunity to catch a spirit chef with evil intentions, he would use the doppelganger soul nurturing technique to refine a doppelganger and throw it into the space of the spirit pearl to slowly study the dishes. In the future, the Wang family might shine because of the path of spirit chefs. Just as Wang Daoyuan was looking forward to the future, the soul-chasing bees that went to track the long-eared rabbit returned. It seemed that the long-eared rabbit's ability to seek luck and avoid disaster was not bad. Only a few of the soul-chasing bees were lost, indicating that this route was very safe. He put the pepper into the space of the spirit pearl and followed the soul-chasing bees to the long-eared rabbit's nest. Although the soul-chasing bees were scouting the way and it was very safe, Wang Daoyuan still used the breath-holding technique to reduce his breath to the minimum. There were no surprises or dangers along the way, and he smoothly reached the long-eared rabbit's hiding place. It had to be said that this long-eared rabbit was very good at hiding, choosing the root of a towering tree to burrow into. There was a tree hole at the root of this tree, and the hole was covered by gravel and vegetation, making it an excellent hiding place. Wang Daoyuan used the power of his divine sense to explore the hole, and found that there was a space of 2 feet inside the tree hole. There were 2 adult rabbits in the hole, and more than 10 small rabbits half the size of a palm. This tree hole also had 2 exits. The long-eared rabbit was indeed cunning. He summoned 200 soul-chasing bees from the space, and blocked the other 2 exits. Although the soul-chasing bees' individual combat strength was not strong, if 100 of them could not beat a rabbit of the same level, they were not worthy of being called soul-chasing bees. After the soul-chasing bees blocked the hole, Wang Daoyuan threw an illusion cloud talisman into the tree hole. The cloud of mist condensed by the illusion cloud talisman was even larger than the space inside the tree hole, and the 2 rabbits had nowhere to hide. Moreover, with a nest of small rabbits, the 2 large rabbits did not think of running away. The 2 large rabbits fell into the illusion, and had no power to resist. He urged his spiritual power to condense a water dragon, and easily caught the rabbits from the tree hole, and directly put them into the space of the spirit pearl, and handed them over to his clone to manage. Wang Daoyuan was in the mood to observe the surrounding situation. This place was not far from the border of the sky/mountain range, and as long as they did not run around randomly, it was not particularly dangerous. He carefully sized up the tree in front of him, and saw that this tree was more than 30 feet tall, and the trunk needed 3 people to wrap around it. This was not an ordinary tree, but a second-tier low-grade mulberry tree. Chapter 86. Wang Daoyuan felt a burst of excitement in his heart. It was a low-grade second-tier spiritual wood, and it was a mulberry tree. Its value was not something that the purple gold grass could compare to. Even if it was a mulberry tree that had no special uses, once it reached the second tier, its branches could be used to refine magic tools. Mulberry tree bark could be used to make mulberry paper, which was a high-quality talisman paper. Most second-tier and above talisman papers were made from the bark of spiritual wood. Mulberries were also very valuable spiritual fruits that could be used to brew wine and as raw materials for alchemy. Even the dried branches of mulberry trees, when burned into spiritual charcoal, were extremely valuable. The most important thing was that the mulberry tree's greatest value was that its leaves could be used to breed spiritual silkworms and other spiritual insects. The heavenly/mountain range was rich in spiritual energy, so it was common for ordinary plants to evolve into spiritual plants. There were also many low-grade spiritual plants that evolved. Mulberry trees all looked similar, and different species would have obvious differences. At this time, there were no mulberries on this mulberry tree, so he could not distinguish the specific species. In places where there were few people, there would be wild spiritual silkworms resting on old mulberry trees. This mulberry tree was at least 400 to 500 years old, so how could there be no spiritual insects on it? He released the power of his divine sense and scanned the treetop. There were indeed some spiritual insects on this mulberry tree, but unfortunately, they were all worthless things. There was not even a single silkworm. He was a little unwilling, so he commanded the 200 soul-chasing bees that had been released to go to the treetop and bring down a sample of all the insects. As warlike spiritual bees, the soul-chasing bees were familiar with these things. They quickly swept through the huge treetop and brought down dozens of insects. Unfortunately, they were all useless pests. Wang Daoyuan asked these soul-chasing bees if they had found anything strange. Several soul-chasing bees replied, "We found something white. We can only see it with our eyes, but we can't sense it." Although the soul-chasing bees' divine sense was weak, they still had the power of their divine sense. They could not sense it with their divine sense and could only see it with their eyes. This thing should have the function of avoiding the detection of divine sense. He personally climbed up the treetop to see what it was that could avoid the detection of divine sense. The treetop had already been swept by the soul-chasing bees, so there shouldn't be any danger. Even so, Wang Daoyuan still took out the jade pendant that old ancestor Yang had given him and hung it on his waist. In case of a sneak attack, he could activate the jade pendant to protect himself. Once the golden armor talisman and the earth armor talisman were activated, the spiritual energy fluctuation would be too great, and it would easily attract demonic beasts. Moreover, their defensive power was not as good as the jade pendant. What's more, the jade pendant didn't cost anything to use once. He didn't have too many talismans left, only less than 500. He still had to be thrifty. After the soul-chasing bees' sweep, there were no more living creatures on the treetop. Wang Daoyuan was naturally not attacked. After he climbed to the top of the tree, he did not release his divine sense. After all, this thing could avoid the power of divine sense, and divine sense could not scan anything. He could only rely on the few soul-chasing bees to lead the way. Soon, under the lead of the soul-chasing bees, Wang Daoyuan discovered what they were talking about. This thing was the size of an adult's thumb, long oval and snow-white. Looking carefully, he could see traces of silk on the surface. It was obviously a silkworm cocoon. Wang Daoyuan also raised a few silkworms to play with in his previous life, so he could recognize this thing. Wang Daoyuan searched the treetop and found a total of more than 30 silkworm cocoons. He put them into the space of the spirit bead. He also let his avatar check the 10,000 spirit chart and learn the information of this spirit silkworm. This spirit silkworm was called Forbidden Spirit Silkworm. It was generally a rank 1 upper grade spirit insect. If it could eat rank 2 spirit plants as food, it had a high chance of evolving into a rank 2 lower grade spirit insect. The silk of the Forbidden Spirit Silkworm could avoid the detection of divine sense. With the Forbidden Spirit Silkworm silk as raw material, it was refined into spirit armor. When worn, it could avoid the detection of divine sense. It was very popular with assassins. The price of Forbidden Spirit Silkworm silk was not low. 1 gene of raw silk could be sold for 200 to 300 spirit stones. The next thing was to transplant the mulberry tree. Of course, it was not to transplant such a big tree. Even if he exhausted his divine sense, it was impossible to move such a big tree. Moreover, the tree was big and had deep roots. It was impossible for a foundation establishment cultivator to uproot such a big tree. Such a big tree that had grown for hundreds of years would definitely have its descendants beside it. He just needed to find a few saplings and transplant them into the space. However, mulberry trees could be propagated by cutting, so he could not let go of this big tree for nothing. After all, it was a rank 2 lower grade spirit wood. It would take a long time for its descendants to grow into rank 2 spirit wood. And if he picked some of the young branches of the big tree, it would grow into a rank 2 spirit wood even faster. He picked over 100 new branches and 10 or so old branches that were as thick as an arm. Wang Daoyuan wanted to cut down a few more old branches, but unfortunately he did not have the strength. Although the old branches were not as strong as the trunk, they were still comparable to a middle-grade rank 1 magic tool. It was especially strenuous to use the profound yang sword to cut them. These old branches could already be used to forge a high-grade rank 1 magic tool. If he wanted to forge a low-grade rank 2 magic tool, he would need the trunk of this mulberry tree. According to his understanding of spirit wood, it was easy for new branches to take root and grow. However, due to the lack of spirit qi, it would take a long time to grow into a rank 2 spirit wood. Although it was not easy for the old branches to grow, they had abundant spirit qi. As long as they grew, they would quickly grow into a rank 2 spirit wood. After doing all this, Wang Daoyuan came down from the canopy and found a few mulberry tree saplings that were as tall as a person. He even dug out the soil around the roots and placed them into the space of the spirit pearl. Transplanting these mulberry tree saplings was to prevent this kind of mulberry tree from being special. If the branches could not survive, there would be saplings as backup. The clone and the main body were telepathically connected. There was no need for him to instruct it. It followed his instructions and cleared out 2 mu of spirit fields to plant mulberry trees and purple gold grass. There were 3 mu of yellow cloud grass planted in the space. In the past few years, there was a lot of stock. It would not be long before he could refine a low-grade rank 2 spirit talisman. His need for yellow cloud grass was not great. It would not be of much use to plant more. Out of the 3 mu of yellow cloud grass, 2 mu of spirit mulberry trees were planted, and the other half was planted with purple gold grass. He had caught rabbits, chopped branches, and transplanted saplings nearby. He had made a lot of noise and had to leave as soon as possible. In a place where demonic beasts ran rampant, rampaging was a big taboo. It was even more taboo not to run away after making a big noise. After tidying up everything, Wang Daoyuan returned to the place where he had first released the soul-chasing bee. According to the soul-chasing bee's report, there were several other places that had valuable spirit plants. Following the soul-chasing bee, Wang Daoyuan continued to search for spirit plants. Not long after, he found another spirit plant, the jasper watermelon. This jasper watermelon had a vine that was more than 3 meters long. There were 5 or 6 watermelons on it, and 3 of them were ripe. The ripe watermelons were the size of basketballs. They were round and green like jade. This was where the name of the jasper watermelon came from. The jasper watermelon was a middle-grade rank 1 spirit plant. It was full of spirit energy. If a chi refinement cultivator ate it, it could speed up their cultivation speed. The taste was also very good. Although the jasper watermelon was good, no power was willing to plant it. This thing was too destructive to the spirit fields. If a batch of jasper watermelon was planted in a rank 1 spirit field, it would be impossible to plant another spirit plant for 10 years. The spirit energy in the spirit field would be absorbed by the jasper watermelon. Wang Daoyuan was not worried. He had planted so many spirit plants in the space of the spirit bead, but he had never seen the spirit energy in the spirit field decrease. He could also plant some on the Jade Spring Peak. After all, most of the spirit fields on the Jade Spring Peak were not naturally formed. They were watered by the Jade Dragon Spring water. When the spirit energy in the spirit fields was sucked dry, he could water them with the Jade Dragon Spring water. No matter how much spirit energy the jasper watermelon absorbed, it was just a middle-grade rank 1 spirit plant. Could it suck dry a high-grade rank 3 spirit vein? He dug out the watermelon vine, roots and soil, and planted it in the space of the spirit bead. There was only 1 stalk. Moreover, the jasper watermelon was mainly eaten as a snack. It was not worth it to occupy an acre of spirit field. He squeezed it together with the golden thread spirit jujube and the fiery sun wood. Even if he planted more in the future, it was not impossible to plant watermelons in the forest. He could play with the 3-dimensional agriculture of his previous life. Chapter 87. Wang Daoyuan had already explored the heavenly/mountain range for 10 to 10 hours. At this time, the sky was already dark. It was time to leave. Although cultivator's vision was not affected in the dark, wild beasts liked the dark night more than human cultivators. Many predators would lurk in their lairs to rest during the day and come out to hunt at night. The periphery of the heavenly/mountain range was full of danger during the day. Forget about the night. If he still did not leave the periphery of the heavenly/mountain range, he would probably be discovered by demonic beasts very soon. Once he fought with demonic beasts and caused a big commotion, it would attract rank 2 demonic beasts. At that time, it would be hard to escape even if he grew wings. Entering the heavenly/mountain range this time could be said to have a bountiful harvest. Of course, it was mainly due to the soul-chasing bees' contribution. On this day, he lost several dozen soul-chasing bees searching for spiritual items and scouting the way. If not for the soul-chasing bees, he would have died several dozen times and might not even gain anything. Wang Daoyuan searched for spiritual items twice. Both were near the borders and did not go deep inside. Therefore, he could leave the range of the heavenly/mountain range very soon. After nightfall, demonic beast activities indeed became frequent. Wang Daoyuan only went in 20 to 30 miles. In the process of running out, he encountered several waves of demonic beasts. He also did not dare to tangle with demonic beasts, afraid of attracting rank 2 demonic beasts. Encountering demonic beasts along the way, he also dodged if he could. If he could not, he would quickly defeat them. 15 minutes later, Wang Daoyuan ran out of the heavenly/mountain range without any mishap. He was just about to find a place to rest when he saw an elderly cultivator walking toward him. When he got closer, Wang Daoyuan recognized the arrival. This person was Zhao Baogua. Zhao Baogua also had a small reputation in Clear Glass City. This person was mercenary and was good at currying favor. Seeing where there was profit to be gained, he would sharpen his head and drill in. Wang Daoyuan also heard that back then, after he fished out the Qing River carp and was knocked unconscious by a Foundation establishment cultivator, Zhao Baogua came to test Granduncle Ninth. In the end, he was fooled by Granduncle Ninth and helped the Wang family instead. Although this person's reputation was not much, he should still have real ability under his hands. He must have offended a lot of people. If he didn't have any real skills, he would have been killed many times over. Meeting Zhao Baogua here, a fight was inevitable. Zhao Baogua was the first to speak. Little Dao, you worked until the sky turned dark. Looks like you've gained a lot. This old man likes to purchase all kinds of spiritual items. I wonder if little Dao Yu is willing to sell some of your gains? As the saying goes, don't slap a smiling face. Although he knew that Zhao Baogua wasn't a good person, since he was speaking nicely, Wang Daoyuan didn't want to hit him. He replied, "Senior, you think too highly of me. I didn't dare to go too deep and tried my luck near the border. I didn't find anything good when the sky turned dark. I encountered a few waves of demonic beasts and almost didn't make it out." Before he could finish speaking, Zhao Baogua pounced on him. Fortunately, he was prepared and hid 2 earth armor talismans on him. At this moment, seeing Zhao Baogua pouncing on him, he immediately activated the earth armor talisman, and 2 layers of earth yellow armor appeared on his body. Wang Daoyuan didn't passively take the beating. He followed up with a left front kick, a right leg whip, and a left jab. Zhao Baogua's martial arts were really good. He easily blocked Wang Daoyuan's 3 attacks. These 3 attacks also interrupted Zhao Baogua's momentum of pouncing. After Wang Daoyuan's 3rd attack, the originally powerful attack only lightly hit Wang Daoyuan's face. With the protection of the 2 layers of earth armor, this punch also hit the earth armor talisman without causing any substantial damage. Zhao Baogua's strength was exhausted. Wang Daoyuan took the opportunity to throw a left jab straight at Zhao Baogua's face. Zhao Baogua didn't have time to defend with his hands. He could only tilt his head to avoid this punch. Wang Daoyuan's punch was very fast. Zhao Baogua couldn't completely avoid it. The fist rubbed against his right eye. The 2 separated. In this round of confrontation, Wang Daoyuan used the power of the earth armor talisman to gain a slight advantage. Zhao Baogua covered his eye and said, "Stop, stop. This wasn't a place to fight. It was best not to fight." What's more, Zhao Baogua's reputation was out there. Wang Daoyuan didn't know his depth, so he didn't have the confidence to take him down. After dozens of breaths, Zhao Baogua recovered and reprimanded Wang Daoyuan. "Young people don't talk about martial ethics. I'll stop fighting." You actually sneak attacked me, an old senior. Wang Daoyuan couldn't help but curse in his heart. If you have the ability, you can continue fighting. Let's see if your punch can break my 2 layers of earth armor talisman. Of course, he couldn't say that. Fighting at the edge of the sky/mountain range in the middle of the night might attract demon beasts. I'm really sorry. When I saw Senior pounce over, I overreacted. Please forgive me. Zhao Baoguo was at the 8th level of Qi refinement. After decades, his combat ability was definitely not weak. He couldn't use his trump card easily. It was definitely not easy to take down Zhao Baoguo. The demon beasts of the sky/mountain range wouldn't easily cross the border. It wasn't because they didn't dare to come over, but because they despised the thin spirit Qi here. It wasn't as dense as the spirit Qi in the sky/mountain range. If someone was fighting here and the commotion was too big, they wouldn't mind coming over to take advantage of it. Zhao Baoguo reprimanded, "Young man, take care of yourself. Don't make such a clever move again." Wang Daoyuan repeatedly agreed and cupped his hands. "Senior, Junior still has important matters to attend to, so I won't accompany you any longer. Farewell." With that he left without waiting for Zhao Baoguo's reply. Perhaps because he felt that he couldn't take down Wang Daoyuan, Zhao Baoguo didn't stop him. He walked past Zhao Baoguo, but he didn't dare to let down his guard completely. The 2 layers of earth armor talisman still covered his entire body. A wisp of divine sense entered a storage bag at his waist, ready to take out the profound Yang sword at any time. Although the profound Yang sword wasn't very useful, it was sturdy. It was still very reliable to block an opponent's attack. Wang Daoyuan originally thought that Zhao Baoguo would make a move when the 2 of them crossed shoulders. He focused his attention and prepared to counterattack, but he didn't expect that the other party didn't make a move. He continued to walk forward. If the other party didn't make a move, it would be even better. He had just obtained a batch of precious spiritual items, so he wasn't interested in robbing for the time being. The other party didn't make a move at the best time, so the possibility of him making a move was much smaller. Wang Daoyuan's vigilance decreased a little. When he was about 5 feet away from Zhao Baoguo, a long whip suddenly appeared in Zhao Baoguo's hand. He turned around and lashed out at Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan didn't take it to heart. After all, with the 2 layers of earth armor talisman, no one below foundation establishment could hurt him in one move. With a "pa" sound, the tip of the whip hit his body. The first layer of earth armor talisman dimmed. Although it wasn't broken, it couldn't withstand the same attack again. In the blink of an eye, the second whip followed. The first layer of earth armor was broken, and the second layer of earth armor talisman dimmed a lot. In the blink of an eye, Wang Daoyuan's third whip arrived. He didn't even have the time to take things from his storage bag and spiritual bead space. The second layer of earth armor talisman was broken again. With the power of this whip, he reckoned that he would be heavily injured by the next strike. At this time, he thought of the jade pendant hanging on his waist. It was a rank 2 defensive magic tool. It could withstand a full-force attack from an early foundation establishment cultivator. It shouldn't be difficult to defend against a Qi condensation cultivator's attack. His spiritual sense quickly probed the jade pendant and stimulated its power. A layer of white jade-colored light enveloped his body. When the third whip arrived, the earth armor talisman instantly disappeared. The whip's power was still there. When it hit the white jade-colored light barrier, the light barrier only trembled slightly. The fourth whip only slightly dimmed the light barrier. The fifth whip was like a dragon swinging its tail. It seemed that this Zhao Baoguo was going all out. The power of this strike was much stronger than the previous 4 whips. Zhao Baoguo used only a little more than a breath of time to strike 5 consecutive whips. With this kind of fighting ability, there were few opponents among Qi condensation cultivators. However, Wang Daoyuan didn't take it seriously. The light barrier's power was at least more than 90%. Even a first-level foundation establishment cultivator's full-force attack couldn't break it. A Qi condensation cultivator's attack couldn't hurt him. When the whips hit the light barrier, they didn't have much effect. They only weakened the light barrier's power by about 10%. Just when Wang Daoyuan thought that this strike was over, something strange happened. Chapter 88. The spiritual energy from Zhao Baogua's previous 4 whips didn't completely dissipate, but gathered together with the spiritual energy from the 5th whip. The spiritual energy of these 5 whips belonged to the 5 elements, the 5 elements mutually reinforcing and restraining each other. At this time, the 5 elements were restraining each other. The spiritual energy of the 5 elements burst out instantly, directly shattering the light shield on Wang Daoyuan's body. After shattering the light shield, the spiritual energy didn't run out, continuing to attack Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan didn't have time to use the talisman to protect himself. He could only use all his strength to activate the silk armor on his body to take on the remaining power of this move. With a boom, the remaining power of this attack hit his body. He flew out more than 10 feet and landed on the ground, only feeling the blood in his chest churning like it was on fire. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Only then did he feel slightly better. This time he was heavily injured, but luckily the silk armor blocked it. He didn't lose the ability to resist. This time he was really careless. He didn't think that a Qi disciple level 8 could have such a strong burst of power. If he had used the cloud mist escape in advance, he wouldn't have been hit like this. The final burst of power of these 5 whips was comparable to an early foundation establishment cultivator using the sword controlling technique. If he didn't have the jade pendant that old ancestor Yang gave him to protect himself, he would have died without a doubt. He stood up, sticking 5 earth armor talismans on his body, immediately activating them. 5 layers of earth yellow armor wrapped around him. Then he took out a golden sword talisman, striking it towards Zhao Baogua. And after Zhao Baogua used such a big move like the 5 whips, he still had energy left. He waved the long whip again, one whip shattering the small golden sword, and this whip didn't use much spiritual energy. Seeing this, Wang Daoyuan thought, this whip is quite powerful. It's very likely a level 2 magic tool, and Zhao Baogua didn't seem to use much strength to activate this magic tool. If he continues to fight like this, even if he uses all his methods and can defeat Zhao Baogua, he will still attract demon beasts or rogue cultivators who come to take advantage of the situation. It's not impossible to quickly finish him off. This old guy is despised even by dogs in Qingli County, and he's still alive and well. He definitely has a life-saving move. Coupled with this long whip Dharma artifact, his fighting prowess was equivalent to 2 Zhang Deshangs. It was estimated that even if he used the 2nd-level low-grade golden knife talisman, he still might not be able to take him down. In addition to the talisman, he had 2 trump cards in his hands, the soul-extinguishing bell and the soul-splitting blade. The soul-extinguishing bell's movements were too big. Unless it was a last resort, he couldn't use it. He could try using the soul-splitting blade, but there were risks involved. His spiritual cultivation is comparable to the peak of Qi refining stage. Zhao Baogua is not a pushover either. If his spiritual cultivation is injured and he uses the soul-splitting blade on him, it may cause a counter-injury. However, the consequences were not too serious. After all, Zhao Baogua was only a Qi refining stage cultivator. Even if his spiritual awareness cultivation was higher than his own, it was still limited. Even if using the soul-splitting blade would cause a backlash, it wouldn't be impossible to recover from. He was prepared to find an opportunity to use the smoke escape, close the distance, and then use the soul-splitting blade to attack Zhao Baogua. Taking advantage of the pause after Zhao Baogua used the 5 consecutive whips, he first took out the profound Yang sword. With his current strength, in a battle, the profound Yang sword was no longer of much use. However, it won in terms of sturdiness. Using it to block the opponent's attack was still useful. Otherwise, if he relied on the talisman to resist, not to mention the huge consumption, his body would also have to bear a part of the attack. At this time, he had already suffered some internal injuries. If he continued to resist, his injuries would only get worse. It was better to find an opportunity to use the soul-splitting blade to launch a sneak attack. If it didn't succeed, he would quickly run away. If he continued to dawdle, he was afraid that he would lose himself here. Seeing that he still had the strength to resist, Zhao Baogua lashed out again. The speed of this whip was extremely fast. From the time he made his move to the tip of the whip, it didn't even take half a breath of time. Although it wasn't as powerful as the previous 5 consecutive whips, it still couldn't be underestimated. Wang Daoyuan used the profound Yang sword to block the tip of the whip. He only felt a huge force, shaking his arm until it went numb. A casual attack with such power, this was definitely a second-grade magic tool. Zhao Baogua also said in surprise, "What a hard sword. A mere mid-grade Tier 1 magic tool can actually fight against a mid-grade Tier 2 magic tool." Before he finished speaking, another whip lashed out. Wang Daoyuan used his sword to block it. Zhao Baogua gently shook the whip. The tip of the whip just happened to avoid the profound Yang sword, and the whip landed on his body. There were 5 layers of earth armor on his body. The outermost layer had dimmed, and there was less than half of its strength left. The power of this whip had already surpassed the vast majority of peak chi refinement cultivators. Although he had the earth armor to protect his body, the remaining force still caused his blood to surge. He cursed in his heart. A cultivator at the 8th level of chi refinement was still not exhausted after continuously attacking like this. Is this old brat a monster? Before he could react, another whip lashed out. The two of them exchanged more than 10 moves. Wang Daoyuan was whipped a few more times, and there was only 1 layer of earth armor left on his body. He wanted to take out the talisman many times, but he was interrupted by Zhao Baogua's lightning-fast attacks. Although he could activate the talisman in the space of the spirit pearl and draw it out, it would be very dangerous. But in this way, it would be easy to expose the space in the spiritual pearl, and he didn't have full confidence in taking down Zhao Baogua. Up until now, Wang Daoyuan had only used the things on the surface. He did not have to take down Zhao Baogua, so letting him go would not be a big loss. Originally, he wanted to sneak attack a wave before leaving, but with Zhao Baogua's reaction speed, the probability of success was extremely low. He would also expose his trump card, the soul-splitting blade. Zhao Baogua once again lashed out with his whip. Wang Daoyuan strenuously received this attack and immediately used the cloud mist escape to escape 20 feet away. The moment he escaped, Zhao Baogua's next whip lashed out at the place he was originally at. Seeing him escape, Zhao Baogua was not willing to let him go. After spending so much effort, how could he let a fat sheep slip away like this? It has to be said that Zhao Baogua was indeed a veteran of the battlefield. His speed was really fast. Using the divine movement technique, he was much faster than Wang Daoyuan using the first-level high-grade divine movement talisman. Wang Daoyuan was forced to use the cloud escape frequently. Along the way, he drank several bottles of aged scarlet blood wine to recover his spiritual energy. The two of them, one running and one chasing, finally reached the bank of the clear stream. Without saying anything, Wang Daoyuan directly jumped into the stream. The cloud escape was a water attribute escape technique. After entering the water, the entire body of water was equivalent to a cloud of mist that he created. In the water, he could use the cloud escape continuously with the smallest consumption of spiritual energy. Zhao Baogua chased him to the bank of the clear stream. He was not willing to give up and also jumped into the water. But how could his normal water escape be compared to Wang Daoyuan's cloud escape? Very quickly, the distance between them was pulled apart. He was a bit intoxicated. Using all his skills, he forcefully increased his speed and closely followed Wang Daoyuan. Chasing in the water, as long as the distance was pulled apart, it would be very difficult to find traces of the enemy. Therefore, Zhao Baogua was not willing to fall behind at all. Wang Daoyuan was like a fish in water in the clear stream. Very quickly, he had escaped over 100 miles away without using much spiritual energy. Looking back, he discovered that Zhao Baogua was still following him 20 feet away. Although it looked like the chase was very strenuous, he clenched his teeth and did not fall behind. He angrily cursed, "Is this old thing a turtle? He won't let go once he bites someone. Taking the initiative to steal from me, I am the one who is injured. You didn't lose anything. Is there a need to risk your life to chase after me?" Zhao Baogua was still in hot pursuit. Wang Daoyuan had no choice but to continue using the cloud escape to escape. Although using the cloud escape in the water did not consume much spiritual energy, just in case, he still needed to replenish it. Drinking the scarlet blood wine in the water was a bit strenuous. He could only use his spiritual energy to wrap the wine and put it into his mouth. He could not let even a bit of the wine leak out. This was all aged wine. If it leaked into the water, it would attract a large group of aquatic monsters. At that time, there would be enemies in front and enemies chasing from behind. It would be hard to not die. Chapter 89. He didn't know what was going on with Zhao Baogua. He didn't see him eat spirit pills to recover his spirit power. How could he consume so much energy? If Wang Daoyuan hadn't drunk spirit wine many times, he wouldn't have been able to hold on. After escaping for hundreds of miles, Zhao Baogua was still chasing behind. Wang Daoyuan was also helpless. He had never seen such a consumption of energy. A cultivator at the 8th level of Qi disciple, his spirit power was stronger than Zhang Desheng, a foundation establishment cultivator. Coupled with his powerful whip technique, except for the fact that he couldn't fly on his sword, he could be treated as a foundation establishment cultivator. Wang Daoyuan continued to move forward in the water, suddenly finding a big hole on the shore in front of him. He probed into the hole with his spiritual sense, only to see that the hole was extremely narrow. Only one person could barely pass through. Inside the hole was a winding path, and in the depths of the hole was a space with a radius of 5 feet. In the hole lived a first-rank upper-grade python. Its aura was not very strong. It was only at the 7th level of Qi disciple, and it seemed to be sleeping. The entrance of the snake hole was underwater. The cave was hidden. It was just the right time to take out all his trump cards and smash this old guy to death. Escaping like this was not a solution. It would be troublesome if he encountered another monster. It was better to hide. If he could hide, he would hide. If he couldn't, he would use all his trump cards to kill this old guy. He used the invisibility technique, used the breath-concealing talisman, and directly drilled into the hole. The python was sleeping and didn't notice him immediately. He naturally wouldn't take the initiative to provoke the python, and went to a corner farthest from the python to hide. Zhao Baogua had been following behind Wang Daoyuan, but the target suddenly disappeared. He searched around and soon found the cave where Wang Daoyuan was hiding. With a simple sweep of his divine sense, he found the sleeping python, but he didn't find Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan used the breath-concealing technique at this time. He could avoid the detection of spiritual sense to a certain extent, unless the spiritual sense cultivation was higher than his. Otherwise, it would be difficult to find his existence. Zhao Baogua did not easily let go of this cave. After all, the target was lost here. Only this cave could hide people around. He didn't hide his aura, and drilled straight into the cave. A big living person drilled into the cave, naturally alarmed the python in the cave. The python woke up and attacked Zhao Baogua. Zhao Baogua didn't be polite with the python. With a whip, he directly broke the python's hard scales, leaving a wound more than a foot long and an inch deep. Under the pain, the giant python's ferocious nature erupted as it crazily pounced towards Zhao Baogua. It was a pity that this giant python was only an ordinary high-grade level 1 demonic beast. It did not have a high-grade demonic beast bloodline, nor did it awaken any innate skills. Its strength was not considered strong among its peers. How could it be compared to Zhao Baogua, who had a super strong combat power? Soon, the pythons to S with the Qi, S, the python. Zhao Baogua held the whip in his hand and said, "Young man, isn't it time to come out? There's no point in hiding anymore. Come out and accept your death." Wang Daoyuan showed himself and immediately stuck 5 earth armor talismans on his body. 5 layers of earth yellow armor covered his body, and he smiled. "Senior, why are you forcing me?" Zhao Baogua smiled. "You're here indeed. People die for wealth, and birds die for food. You have a lot of talismans on you, and a level 2 defensive magic weapon. Do I need a reason to kill you?" Wang Daoyuan chuckled and said, "I asked too much. I didn't want to kill you, but you're courting death." Before he finished speaking, 3 golden sword talismans flew out, heading straight for Zhao Baogua. To Zhao Baogua, this kind of attack was nothing. He quickly waved his whip and scattered the 3 small golden swords. He said, "You're so young, yet you have such big words. You want to take me down with just a high-grade grade 1 spirit talisman? Wang Daoyuan threw out another 5 golden sword talismans. Zhao Baogua smiled contemptuously and waved his whip again, hitting the small golden swords. At this time, Wang Daoyuan activated the soul-extinguishing bell hidden in his sea of consciousness, and a brass bell appeared out of thin air. Previously, he was afraid of exposing the soul-extinguishing bell outside, and Qi Yun's enemies would come looking for him. In this underground cave, there was no need to worry about being exposed at all. He injected his consciousness and spirit power into the soul-extinguishing bell, and it emitted a golden light, enveloping Wang Daoyuan. At the same time, a loud bell rang. Zhao Baogua was currently waving his whip to hit the small golden swords. He did not expect Wang Daoyuan to have a sound wave magic weapon, and without any preparation, he took the soul-extinguishing bell's attack head-on. This was not the wilderness, but the underground cave. The sound wave hit the surrounding walls and then reflected back, causing many injuries to Zhao Baogua. Although these reflected sound wave attacks were far less powerful than the first wave, they won in number. After about 10 breaths, the cave quieted down. Zhao Baogua lay on the ground with his eyes rolled back, foaming at the mouth, and his body occasionally twitched a few times. It seemed that his injuries were not light, and the giant python directly died. Originally, he wanted to directly end Zhao Baogua, but on second thought, this old boy had a lot of secrets. It was a pity to kill him like this, and it was more suitable to refine him into an avatar. Taking advantage of the fact that his soul was now seriously injured and had not yet recovered, he gave him a soul-splitting blade. Wang Daoyuan condensed the soul-splitting blade, almost exhausting all of his consciousness. The soul-splitting blade pointed straight at Zhao Baogua's forehead. At this time, Zhao Baogua was still unconscious and had no strength to resist. The soul-splitting blade shot directly into his sea of consciousness between his eyebrows, destroying his mind and consciousness as easily as blowing off dust. This surprised Wang Daoyuan. Zhao Baogua had previously controlled a Tier 2 magic tool with ease, so his divine sense cultivation shouldn't be low. But now, under the soul-splitting blade, he actually couldn't withstand a single blow. Could it be because he was seriously injured by the soul-extinguishing bell and lost the ability to resist? If so, Wang Daoyuan could use the soul-extinguishing bell to injure Qi Yun, and then use the soul-splitting blade to destroy his consciousness without worrying about his own soul being damaged. Of course, now was not the time. At this time, his spiritual sense was almost non-existent, and he was unable to split his soul into an avatar. He could only take out a few pots of jade butterfly orchid from the space, take a spirit cleansing pill and a rejuvenation pill, and meditate to restore his spiritual sense and heal his injuries. 3 hours later, Wang Daoyuan's spiritual sense had basically recovered, and he once again condensed the soul-splitting blade, cut a small part of his soul, and after nourishing it for a while, merged it with his avatar. With the previous experience, this time he cast the secret technique much faster, and it only took him 1 day to complete the whole process. He put his avatar into the spirit bead space and seized the time to heal his injuries. 3 days later, his physical injuries were completely healed, and his soul's injuries were also stabilized. In the spirit bead space, with the help of the 20-fold flow of time, his soul had already completely taken control of his avatar, and now began to take care of the affairs in the space. Wang Daoyuan used his avatar to spy on Zhao Baogua's memories and learned about Zhao Baogua's life experience. Zhao Baogua was born in a mortal family, and when he was young, he was apprenticed to a rogue cultivator. That rogue cultivator was not an ordinary person, and he was a penta-spirit root cultivator who cultivated a 5-element cultivation method. This cultivation method was obtained by the rogue cultivator when he explored the cave of an ancient cultivator. For a penta-spirit root cultivator, cultivating a 5-element cultivation method was better than cultivating a single-element cultivation method. However, cultivating a 5-element cultivation method was not only slow, but it also consumed a lot of resources. That rogue cultivator cultivated for over 100 years, but his cultivation was only at the 7th level of Qi refining. Seeing that his lifespan was not long, and he had no hope of reaching foundation establishment, He wanted to find a successor to pass down his cultivation method. In the end, he found Zhao Baogua, and Zhao Baogua was also a pentaspirit root cultivator, so he was just right to inherit his mantle. Chapter 90. That rogue cultivator accepted Zhao Baogua and taught him a cultivation technique. Not long after Zhao Baogua entered the qi refining stage, he passed away. His life savings were left to Zhao Baogua. Among them were some spirit stones, a 5 elements cultivation technique, a 5 elements origin technique, a level 2 middle grade long whip, and a treasure map. Zhao Baogua's master had obtained both the cultivation technique and the long whip when he had explored the ancient cultivator's abode. The treasure map was personally drawn by him. The map recorded the location of the ancient cultivator's abode, as well as the route he took to explore the abode. That ancient cultivator was also a pentaspirit veins cultivator. He combined many cultivation methods and secret techniques to create a cultivation method that was suitable for cultivators with pentaspirit veins. Furthermore, he himself had used this technique to cultivate to the Jindan realm, and was known as the 5-element spiritual master. Of course, the 5-element spiritual master's cultivation method was not the same as Zhao Baogua's primordial 5 elements technique. The primordial 5 elements technique was the original version of the technique created by the 5 elements Daoist. Later on, based on this foundation, he used other cultivation methods and secret techniques to improve them. Finally, he created a cultivation method that could allow a cultivator with 5 spiritual roots to reach the golden core stage or even the Yuanying stage. The 5 elements spiritual master failed to break through the Yuanying realm and passed away in a secret realm. Before he died, he wanted to find a successor, but unfortunately, there was no time. He could only leave his legacy in the place where he died. The 5 elements Daoist inheritance was divided into 2 parts. The first part was the 5 elements primordial technique and the rank 2 medium grade long whip. Any cultivator with 5 spiritual roots would be able to obtain this inheritance. However, in order to obtain the golden core inheritance of the 5 elements Daoist, one must first cultivate the primordial 5 elements technique to the great success stage. Zhao Baogua and his master had never been able to meet this requirement in their entire lives. Zhao Baogua's level 2 magic whip was also made by the 5 elements Daoist. The long whip was called the 5 dragons soul-chasing whip, and it was the work of the 5 elements spiritual master. He hunted down 5 rank 2 giant pythons and used their tendons as the main material. These 5 giant pythons belonged to the 5 elements, and together with a few 5-element spirit items, he refined the 5 dragon soul-chasing whip. Because the 5 elements primordial art and the 5 dragon soul-chasing whip came from the same source, they complemented each other and had a high compatibility. For those who cultivated the 5 elements primordial technique, the 5 dragon soul-chasing whip was more powerful and consumed less spiritual energy. This was also one of the reasons why Zhao Baogua could persist for such a long time despite his frequent high-intensity attacks. Another reason was that the primordial 5 elements art focused on building the foundation. In the process of cultivating the primordial 5 elements art, one would constantly expand and strengthen one's dantian and meridians. Therefore, Zhao Baogua's dantian was much larger than other cultivators of the same level, and his spiritual power was also much stronger than others of the same level. When the 5 elements primordial art was cultivated to the realm of great success, whether it was the dantian, meridians, or the amount of spiritual power, they had all reached the limit of a qi refining cultivator. The gap between them and ordinary cultivators who had just reached the foundation establishment stage was very small. The cultivation speed of pentaspirit roots cultivators was already slow. In addition, the primordial 5 elements art focused too much on the foundation. Without a large amount of resources, it was impossible for them to cultivate to the realm of great success in their lifetime. In fact, this was also the method that the 5 elements spiritual master used to choose his successor. Those who could cultivate to the realm of great success were either good at earning resources. Such people's intelligence was definitely not bad, and they would live for a long time. Or they had a good family background or great opportunities. Such people did not need to worry about resources and had a bright future. Of course, spending a lot of time and resources to cultivate the primordial 5 elements art also had great benefits. Cultivating to the realm of great success could increase the success rate of foundation establishment. As for the specific increase, it varied from person to person. At most, it could increase the success rate by 30%, and 1.5 foundation establishment pills could be saved. Moreover, because this technique strengthened the cultivator's body from the inside out, if a cultivator did not have a foundation establishment pill and failed to reach the foundation establishment stage, it would generally only damage one's meridians and dantian, and the probability of life being in danger was not high. Zhao Baoguo was also a capable person. He knew that cultivating the primordial 5 elements art to the realm of great success required a large amount of resources, and he himself did not have the talent to learn the 100 arts of immortal cultivation, so he did the work of master profiteer. He bought pills, talismans, magic tools from the clear glass market and sold them at a high price to the Green Willow region. Then he bought precious spiritual herbs and ores at a low price in the Green Willow region and sold them at a high price to the clear glass market. Selling goods from both sides, he earned a lot of resources over the years. If he was not a pentaspirit roots cultivator, with the large amount of resources he earned, he would have already reached the foundation establishment stage. Even so, he still had a chance to reach the foundation establishment stage. Although Zhao Baoguo looked very old, in fact he was not very old. He was only 69 years old, and among the cultivators he could only be considered a middle-aged man. In his lifetime, he still had a high chance of cultivating the primordial 5 elements art to the realm of great success. Although after 70 years old his qi and blood began to decline, and the success rate of reaching the foundation establishment stage decreased, but with the support of the primordial 5 elements art and the foundation establishment pill, even after 100 years old, he still had a high chance of reaching the foundation establishment stage. Besides, if he could really cultivate to the realm of great success, he could inherit the legacy left behind by the 5 element spiritual master. With the legacy of a golden core cultivator, the problem of reaching the foundation establishment stage would not be big. After prying into Zhao Baoguo's memories, Wang Daoyuan could not suppress the excitement in his heart. The primordial 5 elements art and the legacy of a golden core cultivator were simply tailor-made for him. With the space in the spirit pearl, he could have as many resources as he wanted. Wang Daoyuan originally wanted to reach the foundation establishment stage first, and then switch to the cultivation method, but now he had to switch ahead of time. In the whole of Beiyuan Xiuxian, he was afraid that he could not find a more suitable legacy for him than the 5 elements spiritual master. Switching to the cultivation method should be done sooner rather than later. Wang Daoyuan intended to wait for the clan leader and the people of the Green Willow province to complete the negotiations, and then start the switch. Zhao Baoguo's value was not only this, he had decades of experience in profiteering, and he had the connections and channels to resell resources. If the clan could completely take over these connections and channels, coupled with the effect of the Spirit Pearl's space, their annual income would most likely double. The 5 element spiritual master's legacy and Zhao Baoguo's connections were not urgent, and needed to be considered in the long run. Zhao Baoguo had 2 storage bags hanging on his body. For a person like him who was good at currying favor, and was also a rogue cultivator without family and employment, he definitely had a lot of good things on him. He opened the first storage bag, which was full of pills, talismans, magic tools and the like, but unfortunately they were all first rank. Although the value of a single item was not high, but the quantity was large. Hundreds of first-rank pills, hundreds of first-rank high-grade talismans, more than 30 first-rank magic tools. All of these things added together would cost at least 10,000 spirit stones. Opening the second storage bag, there were not many things in this storage bag: a few jade slips, a long whip, a treasure map, and a second-rank low-grade pill furnace. The most frightening thing was that there were more than 100 middle-grade spirit stones. This was equivalent to more than 10,000 low-grade spirit stones. Zhao Baoguo was really rich. The savings from decades of reselling resources, Other than the daily consumption for cultivation, the rest should be here. This second-rank low-grade pill furnace, it was really a coincidence. Wang Daoyuan wanted to learn alchemy, everything was ready, only a pill furnace was missing. It was just that good pill furnaces were expensive, and the clan was in urgent need of spirit stones, so he was not willing to buy one. He did not expect Zhao Baoguo to send one. He saw that this pill furnace was purple-red, it should be refined from the second-rank middle-grade purple sun copper. The furnace body was engraved with a fire phoenix. He pried into Zhao Baoguo's memories and learned that this pill furnace was called Fire Phoenix Purple Sun Furnace. A Foundation establishment rogue cultivator in the Green Willow region asked him to buy it. It was worth more than 4,000 spirit stones, equal to 3 magic tools of the same rank. The jade slips recorded the 5 elements mixed yuan technique, the 5 dragon soul chasing whip, and several spells. Chapter 91. Wang Daoyuan packed up Zhao Baoguo's belongings and put the giant python's corpse into his space, handing it over to his 2 doppelgangers to deal with. This giant python was also a poor python. It was a dignified high-grade rank 1 demonic beast, but there was nothing valuable in its cave. After leaving the cave, he discovered that he wasn't far from Mirror Iron Mountain. The harvest this time was huge, so he could give some things that he didn't need to the patriarch for the time being. Especially these 100 or so mid-grade spirit stones. After giving them to the patriarch, the total number of spirit stones in the clan would exceed 60,000. Obtaining a foundation establishment pill could be said to be a cinch. In order to avoid exposing his whereabouts, he didn't choose to go ashore. Instead, he continued to use cloud mist escape in the water. Once he found the underground river where the spiritual spring cavern was located, he followed the flow of the river upstream. After entering the spirit spring cavern, he was shocked. It had only been a few days, but the cavern had changed greatly. The originally uneven ground had been smoothed out, and there were more than 6 acres of spirit fields. All kinds of spirit herbs had been scattered in the spirit fields, and some had already sprouted. In the middle of the newly opened spirit fields, a new canal was dug to irrigate the spirit fields with spirit spring water. There were also many jade butterfly orchids planted on both sides of the canal. Seeing his shocked expression, Wang Shi proudly asked, "How is it? Your uncle did well, right?" Wang Daoyuan didn't answer. He directly took out a purple gold grass and waved it in front of the 12th uncle. Wang Shi's eyes widened. He swallowed his saliva and shouted in shock, "Purple gold grass, it's still alive." His shout startled the patriarch who was meditating beside the spirit spring. Patriarch Wang Jian was also extremely shocked when he saw the purple gold grass in Wang Daoyuan's hand. "Daoyuan, where did this purple gold grass come from?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "I went out to see if there was an ambush near the meeting place. I also crossed the border of the sky/mountain range and went in to search for spirit items. I found a clump of purple gold grass. I still have some here." After saying that, Wang Daoyuan took out another 10 or so purple gold grass. There was still a clump of soil on the roots. Wang Jian excitedly took the purple gold grass. With the purple gold grass, the clan will no longer lack low-grade level 2 spirit talismans. "Daoyuan, you've done a great service. I'll give you 3,000 clan contribution points for these purple gold grass." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Fifth great uncle, don't be in such a hurry to calculate the contribution points. There are still some good things that you haven't taken out yet." After saying that, he took out a dozen cocoons and 4 mulberry saplings that were as tall as a person. The saplings of the mulberry trees had already taken root, so there was no point in keeping these saplings. However, the branches of the mulberry tree were clearly not freshly plucked and looked like they had been stored for a few days. It was too suspicious to take them out, so he could only hand the saplings over to the chief. When Wang Jian and Wang Shi saw the cocoon and mulberry sapling, their eyes widened. To a clan, this was a true treasure. Planting mulberries and raising silkworms was much more cost-effective than mining ores. Small mines generally didn't have spirit veins, but they needed cultivators to oversee them. In places without spirit veins, the spirit energy was very thin. It was not enough to sustain the daily cultivation of a qi refinement cultivator. That would require the consumption of spirit stones or pills. As a result, the cost went up. Planting mulberries and raising silkworms could be done on their own spirit mountains. Their daily work was picking mulberry leaves, spinning silk, and so on. These tasks could be done by ordinary people. They only needed cultivators to watch over these spirit silkworms and prevent them from escaping. The cost of planting mulberries and raising silkworms was extremely low. As long as there was sufficient spirit energy, the spirit mulberries could grow very well without needing to be planted in spirit fields. The Wang clan could be said to be blessed by the heavens. With the jade dragon spring, as long as they watered it often, they could plant spirit mulberries anywhere. Jade Spring Peak could plant spirit mulberries and raise spirit silkworms on a large scale. Moreover, these tasks didn't require cultivators to do them. The clan had about 100,000 ordinary people, and there were thousands of new children born every year. They could take care of as many spirit mulberries as they wanted. Now that they had spirit mulberries and spirit silkworms, the clan could develop the mulberry silkworm industry as their main business in the future. This was a sustainable development path, unlike spirit mines that would disappear after they were mined. As long as there were spirit veins, the mulberry silkworm industry could continue. The mulberry silkworm industry was a low-cost and high-return industry, but very few clans would use it as a pillar industry. There were two main reasons. First, without conditions like the Jade Dragon Spring, they could only rely on spirit fields to plant spirit mulberries. Spirit trees needed a lot of space to grow, and only a few could be planted in one mu of land. It also consumed a lot of soil energy, so planting spirit mulberries was not as cost-effective as planting spirit herbs. Second, common spirit silkworms were all low-grade grade 1 spirit silkworms. High-grade spirit silkworms were extremely rare, and low-grade grade 1 spirit silkworm silk wasn't worth a few spirit stones. High-grade spirit mulberries were also not easy to find. If spirit mulberries weren't good enough, even the best spirit silkworms couldn't produce good silk. The Wang clan had the Jade Dragon Spring, and their ancestors had thought of developing the mulberry silkworm industry. Unfortunately, the Wang clan had been oppressed by the Liang clan in the past, and it was very difficult for them to make ends meet. They didn't have the financial resources to find valuable spirit silkworms and spirit mulberries. Now that the clan's external environment was much better, they already had the right time and place to plant mulberries and raise silkworms. This time, they had high-grade grade 1 spirit silkworms and spirit mulberries that could grow to low-grade grade 2 spirit mulberries. It could be said that they had gathered at the right time, place, and people. Wang Jian asked in shock again, "You only went out for a few days, and you found so many good things? Also, what grade are these spirit silkworms and spirit mulberries?" He was so shocked that he forgot to use his divine sense to investigate the cocoons and spirit mulberries. Wang Daoyuan replied with a smile, "I can't detect this cocoon with my divine sense, so I speculate that it's a spirit-forbidding silkworm. This spirit mulberry's mother stalk is low-grade grade 2 and is more than 30 meters tall. I don't have the ability to move it, so I can only dig up a few small stalks and bring them back." Hearing his words, Wang Jian's eyes lit up. He originally thought that it would be good if these spirit mulberries and spirit silkworms could be mid-grade grade 1. There was a high-grade grade 3 spirit vein in the Jade Spring Peak, so they might be able to advance to high-grade grade 1 in the future. Ordinary high-grade grade 1 spirit silkworm silk could be sold for 20 to 30 spirit stones per kilogram. After a few decades of development, the scale would increase, and it could be a pillar of the clan's industry. However, he didn't expect the spirit silkworms and spirit mulberries to be of such high grade. The grade of the spirit mulberry's mother stalk had a great impact on the upper limit of the child stalk's growth. These spirit mulberries, if planted in a place with abundant spirit qi, would grow to low-grade grade 2 spirit wood without a problem. He scanned with his divine sense and couldn't find any cocoons. These were indeed spirit-forbidding silkworms. 1 kilogram of silk could be sold for more than 200 spirit stones. In the future, when the silkworm industry developed and expanded, it could support the expenses of a large golden core clan. Of course, this would take a long time. Without a few decades of development, it wouldn't be able to reach a climax. If the state of Zhao could be stabilized for another 100 or 200 years, it wouldn't be difficult for the Wang clan to restore the prosperity it had when the ancestor was alive. Wang Jian said with a trembling voice, "Dao Yuan, I really don't know how to reward you this time. After I finish dealing with the matters of the Green Willow province, I'll return to the mountain and discuss with the elders before making a decision. Shuri, take the purple gold grass, spirit mulberries, and spirit silkworms and immediately return to the Jade Spring Peak. To be safe, leave a spirit mulberry, for cocoons, and 2 stalks of purple gold grass in this cave residence." Chapter 92. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Fifth uncle, don't be anxious. There are still some things." With that, he took out a storage bag. There were more than 100 mid-grade spirit stones and more than 30 high-grade Tier 1 magic artifacts. He left all the spirit talismans and pills. After all, he would often enter the heaven/mountain range in the future. He needed to prepare more resources just in case. As for these Tier 1 magic artifacts, they were all used by Zhao Baogua to fool the rogue cultivators of Green Willow Province. The quality was not good. A high-grade Tier 1 magic artifact sword was not even as good as the profound Yang sword. He really did not fancy it, so he did not keep it. Wang Jian opened the storage bag and was shocked. He asked, "Daoyuan, where did you get so many good things?" Although the previous purple gold grass and spirit forbidding silkworm were worth more than 10,000 spirit stones, they still needed dozens or even hundreds of years to develop. As for these 100 over mid-grade spirit stones, they would be able to solve this urgent problem. With these spirit stones, it would be easy to bid for a foundation establishment pill. I went around the outer border of the heaven/mountain range. When I came out, I met Zhao Baogua and robbed him. Wang Daoyuan said indifferently. His 12th uncle, Wang Shui, laughed and said, "You are indeed my nephew. We have done the same thing. 10 years ago, when I just reached the peak of qi refinement, I met him when I was traveling. This old guy wanted to kill me and steal my treasures. I lured him into the river and beat him up. In the end, he handed over his storage bag and begged me to spare his life. I thought that he should have some life-saving methods, but it was useless. Killing him was not easy, so I took the opportunity to take the storage bag and let him go. I didn't expect that 10 years later, he still did not improve and was robbed by you." As soon as Wang Daoyuan heard this, he was immediately enraged. "I was wondering why this old fellow was so desperate to rob me. I used the cloud escape to escape to Qingxi, but he chased me for 200 to 300 miles. He would rather die than let me go. Turns out he has a grudge against you. 12th uncle, you really made me suffer. If not for the jade pendant that Ancestor Yang gave me, I would have fallen into his hands. Later, I lured him into a python's cave and killed him with a sneak attack." "What?" Wang Shui asked in surprise. "You killed him?" "Back then, if it weren't for the fact that my water dragon technique was greatly enhanced in water, I wouldn't have been a match for him. Yet you were able to kill him. With your strength, you can be considered a first-rate expert below foundation establishment." Wang Daoyuan laughed and said, "12th uncle, it's not like you don't know that I'm good at scheming against people." Zhao Baogua was eager for revenge, so I took advantage of the opportunity. He should have bought a large amount of resources from Clearglass City and sold them at Green Willow Island. They all fell into my hands. I have a use for spirit pills and spirit talismans, and the family shop doesn't lack them. None of the magic tools are suitable for me, and it just so happens that my clansmen are also lacking magic tools. I'll use them all to exchange for contribution points." Wang Daoyuan also took out 2 jasper watermelons and said, "Take these back and let grandfather have a taste." Although jasper watermelons consume a lot of soil energy, with Jade Dragon Spring, our family can still grow some. Our family's drunken Immortal restaurant's dishes are too monotonous, so adding a few melons and fruits would be pretty good. Wang Jian nodded and said, "Dao Yuan's words are reasonable. In the future, we can grow some spirit fruits on Jade Spring Peak. Shui, take these things back to Jade Spring Peak." You must be careful. Wang Shi took the things and left the spiritual spring cave, returning to Jade Spring Peak along the way he came. 3 days later, the great elder sent news that Wang Shui and his things had arrived at Jade Spring Peak without any surprises or dangers along the way. This time, Wang Daoyuan didn't find any trouble in the vicinity of the meeting place. There were still more than 10 days before the meeting time, so he wasn't in a hurry to investigate again. For the next few days, he stayed in the spiritual spring cave and cultivated. After Wang Shui sent the things back to Jade Spring Peak, he once again went to the spiritual spring cave. Wang Jian was now preparing for his succession. Discussing business with other powers was a big matter, so it was better for the successor to follow along and gain some experience. Of course, the premise was that safety was guaranteed. Before the meeting, Wang Daoyuan went out again to investigate the vicinity of the meeting place. However, he still didn't find any problems. It seemed that the Oasis side was sincere in cooperating with the Wang family and didn't have any intention of causing trouble. On the day of the meeting, Wang Daoyuan arrived at the meeting place early and investigated the surroundings again. Everything was still normal. In the process of investigation, he also met Chen Liang. As the liaison of the Oasis side, it was reasonable for him to come to the meeting. Seeing Wang Daoyuan, he enthusiastically asked, "Daoyu, we meet again. I wonder if your clan's patriarch has arrived." Wang Daoyuan also politely cupped his hands and said, "Chen Daoyu, my clan's patriarch will arrive soon. I wonder if you have any arrangements? My master will also be here soon." Chen Liang replied, "I'll inform Daoyu in advance that this negotiation is the intention of all the Foundation Establishment cultivators of the Oasis, so all the Foundation Establishment seniors have sent their juniors. These people are all Qi disciple cultivators. My master is the only Foundation Establishment cultivator. I didn't inform him in advance, so I hope Wang Daoyuan won't take offense." The clan's patriarch had already expected this situation. The Oasis side was jointly established by many Foundation Establishment cultivators. How could they leave all the negotiation matters to one person? In order to prevent Qin Liang's master from reaching some secret agreement with the Wang family and harming the interests of the other Foundation Establishment cultivators, the other Foundation Establishment cultivators would definitely send people to monitor. Only a few Qi disciple cultivators came. It wouldn't be a big deal. Wang Daoyuan smiled. "It's fine. It's only right for the other seniors to send people." After a quarter of an hour, Wang Jian brought Wang Shui and the people of the Oasis side to the meeting place. The Foundation Establishment cultivator of the Oasis side cupped his hands and said, "Chen Zicheng of the Oasis side greets Daoyu." The others also cupped their hands and called him Senior Wang. Wang Jian also returned the greeting. Wang family's Wang Jian greets Daoyu Chen. Wang Shui and Wang Daoyuan also cupped their hands and said, "Greetings Senior Chen and Daoyu." Both sides greeted each other warmly and introduced each other's juniors. The atmosphere was very harmonious. Chen Zicheng mainly introduced a Qi disciple level 8 youth. This person was called Shi Xinghua. He was the eldest son of the strongest cultivator of the Oasis side, Shi Zhenbang. He looked to be in his 20s. Shi Zhenbang was a Foundation Establishment peak cultivator and could break through to the Purple Palace realm at any time. He had the highest authority in the Oasis side. Shi Xinghua also had a face full of arrogance. He cupped his hands and said to the 3 people of the Wang family, "Shi Xinghua of the Shi family of River Yang greets Marquis Yuchuan and the 2 Daoyu." River Yang referred to the River Yang County, west of Qingli County. The ancestor of the Shi family of River Yang was the founding minister of the state of Zhao and was conferred the title of River Yang County Duke. As an old noble, marriage with the royal family was unavoidable. When the 3 major sects rebelled, the Shi family was the focus of the attack. Almost all of their clansmen were killed. Only a few escaped into the sky/mountain range. Marquis Yuchuan was the title of the ancestor of the Wang family, Wang Qingzu. Logically speaking, if the state of Zhao was still ruled by the Zhao family, then Wang Jian, as the head of the Wang family, should inherit the title of Marquis Yuchuan. However, the state of Zhao had been dead for more than 300 years now. The Wang family had also become a subordinate family of the Netherworld sect. Using the title of the previous dynasty to call Wang Jian was a bit of blaming the Wang family for betraying the emperor and joining the enemy. Once this was said, everyone's expression changed. They were here to discuss business, not to criticize. How could they expose someone's shortcomings when discussing business? Wang Jian silently glanced at Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan immediately understood the meaning of the clan head. At this time, he could only stand up for himself. The clan head was a foundation establishment cultivator, so it was too degrading. The 12th uncle, Wang Shui, was much older than Xianxia and had a higher cultivation. Him speaking up was a bit of bullying. Chapter 93. Wang Daoyuan was all smiles as he cupped his hands toward Xianxia. This Daoyu from Green Willow State is indeed a talent. Wang Daoyuan from Jade Spring Wang family greets Daoyu. Those who could come to the meeting were not to be trifled with. How could they not understand the meaning behind Wang Daoyuan's words? Xianxia claimed to be from River Sun's Shi family, but why are you in Green Willow State now? The Wang family's ancestor is Jade Spring Marquis and Jade Spring Peak is still in the hands of the Wang family. Wang Daoyuan claimed to be from the Jade Spring Wang family, so he was very confident. You can't even keep your fiefdom and are holed up in the sky/mountain range. You don't even dare to enter Zhao's territory, yet you still have the face to mention River Sun's Shi family. Xianxia came to the meeting because he was valued by his elders. Such a person might not be amazing, but in terms of talent and intelligence, he was at least above average. He naturally understood the meaning behind Wang Daoyuan's words. However, he was choked by Wang Daoyuan's words and didn't know what to say. His face turned red. The situation was a little awkward. Chen Zicheng tried to smooth things over. This little friend of the Wang family is also a young talent, reaching Qi disciple level 7 at such a young age. He then said to the young people around him, "You should also ask for advice from little friend Wang." Everyone agreed and pretended that they didn't understand the meaning behind the two's words. The two were just greeting each other. If no one understood the meaning behind the words, then it didn't exist. The atmosphere of the meeting became harmonious again. Only Xianxia's expression was a little unnatural. Chen Zicheng resolved the awkward situation and didn't give the young people a chance to speak. He didn't want anyone to speak and ruin the business. The business this time was to go to Green Willow State to beg the Wang family. The Wang family's things could be sold anywhere. They didn't lack Green Willow State. If the business was ruined, the Wang family wouldn't lose much, but Green Willow State would lose a supply channel. Wang Daoyuan took out a large pile of things from his storage bag. A long table, more than 10 chairs, a large teapot, more than 10 teacups, and more than 10 fruit plates. Under a towering tree nearby, tables and chairs were set up and everyone was invited to take a seat. The three from the Wang clan sat on one side while the people from the Green Willow continent sat on the other. He took out some commonly seen tea leaves from the market and put them into the teapot. He poured in some spirit spring water and boiled it with a fire attribute spirit talisman. Then he poured everyone a cup. He then took out the last ripe jasper watermelon and cut it into a dozen pieces. Everyone had a piece of watermelon in front of them. This operation made everyone curious. We only recognize the jade and not the person. Wang Jiha nodded and said, "Let's do it this way." Afterwards, the two foundation establishment cultivators discussed the details of their cooperation. The others only needed to listen. Since he was bored and had no opportunity to interrupt, Wang Daoyuan picked up his teacup and drank a mouthful of tea. He also ate a piece of watermelon in front of him. Seeing him directly eat and drink, the youths from Green Willow State no longer held back. They all became melon-eating spectators, eating while listening to the contents of the two foundation establishment seniors' discussion. After 2 hours, Wang Daoyuan had to refill their tea several times before the two foundation establishment cultivators finally finished discussing all the details. Henceforth, the business cooperation between the two sides was smoothly concluded. After exchanging a few pleasantries, the two sides could return to their respective residences. As for Xianxia, he might have been displeased by Wang Daoyuan's words. Before the business was concluded, he did not dare to act rashly for fear of ruining the business. Now that the cooperation had been reached, the two foundation establishment cultivators would not fall out with each other even if there were some conflicts. He cupped his hands towards Wang Daoyuan and said, "Previously, Uncle Chen told us to ask for guidance from Wang Daoyu. As cultivators, we naturally make friends through martial arts. I wonder if Wang Daoyu would be willing to exchange a few moves with us?" Wang Daoyuan glanced at the clan leader from the corner of his eyes, asking for his opinion. The clan leader nodded slightly, indicating that he was willing to fight. Wang Jian knew in his heart that with Wang Daoyuan's strength, no one below the foundation establishment stage could kill him. He always knew when to stop and would not hurt Xianxia. Wang Daoyuan stepped forward and cupped his hands, saying, "Since Brother Shi is in the mood, I will naturally accompany you." Chen Zicheng saw that the Wang family had agreed and did not make the situation very awkward, so he was relieved. He was also not worried about what could happen in the fight between the two juniors. With two foundation establishment cultivators watching from the side, it was impossible for a qi condensation cultivator to injure someone in their hands. After the victor was decided, he would stop it in time. Wang Daoyuan took out his profound yang sword and saluted, saying, "Brother Shi, please." Xianxia also took out a first-grade high-grade fiery red sword and returned the salute, saying, "Daoyu Wang, please." The two of them attacked at the same time. Wang Daoyuan was a few years younger than Xianxia. His physical strength was not as good as Xianxia's, and his cultivation was one level lower. Coupled with the lower grade of his magic weapon, he was at a disadvantage in the first exchange. However, Wang Daoyuan had practiced martial arts for 20 to 30 years in his previous life. In this life, he was tortured by the 12th uncle for a few months and experienced several life and death battles. His martial arts were still very solid. Although he was suppressed, it was impossible for Xianxia to win quickly. Chapter 94. The two of them were sparring. They did not even use any offensive spells. They only focused their spiritual energy on the sword in their hands. Xianxia looked for Wang Daoyuan to spar, just to save his face. He also knew the severity of the situation. If he injured Wang Daoyuan and ruined the business, then he would offend everyone in the Green Willow province, including the foundation establishment stage cultivators. Therefore, although his offensive was very fierce, every move avoided Wang Daoyuan's vital points. He only wanted to win, not to injure him. After a few moves, Wang Daoyuan found that Xianxia was not ruthless. He naturally knew what he was thinking. Anyway, he was young, his cultivation was low, even his magic tool was not as good as his opponent. There was no shame in losing. He only defended and did not attack, retreating step by step. The two of them exchanged more than 30 moves. Xianxia stopped, said, "Wang Daoyu is really good. I can't win in martial arts. How about we compete in spells?" Wang Daoyuan laughed. "Thank you, Brother Shi, for letting me win. Brother Shi already has the upper hand. If we continue to fight, I can at most hold on for a few more minutes. Brother Shi will win." Seeing him so polite, Xianxia felt a lot more comfortable, said, "Martial arts are only the fighting methods of mortals. I am a cultivator. Naturally, spells are the main. Let's compare spells again." Wang Daoyuan saw that he insisted again and again. It was not good to refuse. He could only agree to compete in spells. The two of them were 3 feet apart. Xianxia's hands condensed a fiery red spiritual energy. Then, it turned into a fire python more than 10 feet long. The two of them were very close. Wang Daoyuan did not have time to use the water dragon technique. He could only use the smoke escape, condensing a cloud of mist, and instantly escaped. The fire python pounced on empty air. It turned around and pounced at Wang Daoyuan again. At this time, Wang Daoyuan was free. He condensed a 3 feet long water dragon, entangling with the fire python. Although the fire python was more powerful, it was restrained by the water dragon. In addition to the extraordinary water dragon technique of the Wang family, although it had the upper hand, it could not defeat the water dragon. The fire element's explosive power was strong, but it could not be sustained. Although the water element was not very strong in terms of offense and defense, it was not afraid of anyone when it came to attrition. What's more, the two of them were fighting on the banks of a clear stream. The water spiritual energy here was extremely rich, and Wang Daoyuan's consumption of spiritual energy was much lower. If the stalemate continued, Xianxia would definitely be the first to give up. The water dragon and the fire python were in a deadlock for half an hour. Wang Daoyuan was still at ease, but Xianxia was already struggling. Wang Daoyuan thought to himself, this Xianxia is a person who understands the big picture. It's just that he's young and impetuous. After being ridiculed by me a few times, he couldn't take it, so he wanted to exchange pointers with me. If I defeat him in public, then we will become enemies. It was better to squash enmity than to keep it alive. The two families were about to cooperate, and offending the son of the Green Willow Continent's great leader was not a wise move. Thinking of this, Wang Daoyuan injected a large amount of water spiritual qi into the water dragon, causing it to explode and dissipate together with the fire python. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "Brother Shi's magic is brilliant. If not for this clear stream, I would have been defeated long ago." His words were not entirely modest. If it was elsewhere, without using his trump card and talisman, he really would not be able to beat Xianxia. Wang Daoyuan had given in twice, and Xianxia was not someone who did not know what was good for him. At this time, his anger had already dissipated. He cupped his hands and said, "The Wang family's water dragon technique is indeed worthy of its reputation. Brother Wang's water dragon technique is not yet proficient, but it already has such power. If you train for a while more, I'm afraid I won't be your opponent." The two of them gave in to each other and did not fight. Instead, they became friends after fighting. Everyone present was relieved. After the business was settled, they did not stay any longer and left the meeting place. Wang Daoyuan picked up the table and cutlery and followed the clan leader back to Mirror Iron Mountain. The three of them returned to Mirror Iron Mountain. Wang Jian gave Wang Shoujiang the jade pendant as proof and said, "Shoujiang, the family and Green Willow Province have reached a business agreement. In the future, the family and Green Willow Province will trade at Mirror Iron Mountain. This is an important source of income for the family. You have to take care of this." Wang Shoujiang said with some difficulty, "Fifth uncle, you know me. I'm good at fighting, but I'm not good at business. I don't have the confidence to do this well." Wang Jian smiled and said, "You've always been overseeing Mirror Iron Mountain. If I suddenly transfer you away, I'm afraid it'll attract the Liang family's attention. Don't worry, I'll transfer your 10th uncle over to help. He's been doing business all his life. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask him." Afterward, the three of them left Mirror Iron Mountain and took Wang Daoxing with them. Wang Daoxing had been staying at Mirror Iron Mountain all this time. When he had nothing to do, he would harm the monsters and wild beasts nearby. Now that they were doing business with Green Willow Province, they needed to keep it a secret. It was not appropriate to leave a wooden club here. The four of them returned to Jade Spring Peak by land. Wang Daoyuan found an excuse to leave midway and returned to the Spirit Spring Cave. He had nothing to do back at the family, so it was better to cultivate in the Spirit Spring Cave. He had always been envious of Qi Yun's experience in array formations. He wanted to refine him into a clone, but he was afraid that his soul would be too strong and hurt him. Last time, he had used the soul extinguishing bell to deal with Zhao Baogua and destroyed his soul's resistance. He could use this move on Qi Yun. He returned to the Spirit Spring Cave and took Qi Yun out of the Spirit Beast bag. Qi Yun's head was stuck with the soul-subduing talisman and was still unconscious. Wang Daoyuan did not waste any time and directly activated the soul-extinguishing bell. Other than spirit plants, there were only pseudo-spirit fish and spirit-forbidding silkworms in the cave. The pseudo-spirit fish were in the water, and the spirit-forbidding silkworms had the protection of their cocoons. They were not afraid of the bell. Only Qi Yun was unlucky. After activating the soul-extinguishing bell once, Wang Daoyuan was not in a hurry to deal with Qi Yun. He was worried that his injuries were too light and his soul still had the ability to resist. He first formed the soul-splitting blade and cut out a split soul to nourish it for a few days. For the next few days, he used the soul-extinguishing bell on Qi-yun once a day. 5 days later, Wang Daoyuan had already finished nourishing his soul. The injuries of the split soul had also basically recovered. After being ravaged for 5 days, Qi-yun could only gasp for breath. If this continued, he would be completely finished soon. Wang Daoyuan formed the soul-splitting blade and broke through Qi-yun's sea of consciousness. Qi-yun's soul was already extremely weak. He could barely maintain his human form. He was muddle-headed and did not move at all. He controlled the soul-splitting blade and lightly tapped on Qi-yun's soul. The soul immediately dissipated. The soul-splitting blade immediately dispersed into pure divine sense power, condensing the dissipated soul back together. Wang Daoyuan sent the split soul into Qi-yun's sea of consciousness and merged with the soul that was reforming. After doing all this, he sent the third clone, Qi-yun, into the spirit pearl space to recuperate. The matter of prying into memories and cultivating array formations was left to Qi-yun. When he succeeded in his cultivation, he could replace the split soul and study array formations himself. The flow of time in the spirit pearl space was 20 times faster. Qi-yun could quickly recover and study array formations. Liang Zixing's main spiritual root was a fire spiritual root. He could learn alchemy and weapon forging. Wang Daoyuan asked for the basic knowledge of alchemy from his 7th uncle, Wang Shohong. He could let Liang Zixing learn it. The fiery sun would had already multiplied over 100 trees. However, it had not reached the point where it could be used to burn charcoal. There was still insufficient spiritual charcoal. Previously, Wang Daoyuan had only planted one of the old branches of the spiritual mulberry tree in the space. The rest could be used to burn charcoal. However, it was a second-tier low-grade spiritual wood. Even the branches were first-tier high-grade spiritual materials. It would be a waste to use it directly to burn charcoal. Moreover, if a beginner used such good spiritual charcoal, the firepower would be too strong. It would not be good for controlling the fire. It was better to let the clone learn the basic knowledge first. There was no need to start immediately. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.